Go ahead, take a seat. Join us for Off the Back Porch with Sandy and Boomer, where the conversations are real, the stories run deep, and absolutely nothing is off limits. From small town life and big time headlines to sports, politics, faith, family, and the everyday chaos of modern living, we talk about it all. No polished corporate nonsense, no fake outrage for clicks, just honest conversation served up with a little humor, a little wisdom, and the kind of storytelling that feels like late evenings from the back porch. Sometimes thoughtful, sometimes hilarious, sometimes completely off the rails, but always real. Off the Back Porch with Sandy and Boomer is brought to you in part by Glenn Mechanical, when you want the job done right the very first time. Jason Hardy State Farm. Like a good neighbor, Jason Hardy and State Farm are there. Country Village Sporting Goods. Everything you need to get to the woods, the water, or the camp. Cook's Body Shop. Bad things are going to happen, and when they do, look to Cook's. Davis Farms Country Market with true farm-to-table fresh selections. Cross Roofing and Sheet Metal. Put a solid future above your head. Harrison's Financial Management. Your future, our commitment. Murphy Arts District. For the latest info, go to eldomad.com. Larry's Pizza. Home of the Double Pizza Parade. The Rushing Law Firm. Get someone in your corner who fights for you. The Michael Fife Campaign for Sheriff of Union County. Mystic Creek Golf Club voted the #1 course in Arkansas. Smackover Motors. 50 years of keys, road trips, and memories at Smackover Motors. Timberlane Meat Market. Eat local, eat often. Southern Sass Image and Design. The official photographers for South Arkansas Now at southarkansasnow.com. And by ProMed Ambulance. World-class care and hometown values. Recorded live at the southarkansasnow.com studios in beautiful, historic downtown El Dorado, Arkansas. Kick your shoes off, grab a seat, and welcome to the Big Couch. Your host, Troy Boomer Barrios and B.A. Sandy Sanford.
Thank you, Johnny Dean, and welcome to another edition of Off the Back Porch with Sandy and Boomer, and sometimes Jax.
Yes.
And sometimes Ricky Roberts.
Sometimes Ricky Roberts now.
And now, because he's making a second appearance, we're going to have to start keeping tabs, and that is...
on our principal.
Yeah, it could be sometimes John Jameson.
Yeah.
So thank you, John, for coming.
Yeah, anytime.
He said... my reputation, when I asked him, hey, will you come be? He said, my reputation hadn't fully recovered yet, but sure, whatever, Sandy, whatever.
He didn't say that.
Hey, my mama was proud, so that's all that matters.
That's right.
Yeah.
They say, nobody even likes you. My mama does.
Mama does.
Yeah. Micah, that used to be her thing. When she and the boys were living at home together, and they would get arguing about something. And Micah would be like, you realize you have no friends and no one likes you?
Yeah. My sister used to say, because I was so much younger than everybody else, she said, you were adopted.
You were adopted anyway.
Yeah, they felt sorry for you because you didn't have any parents.
So, I couldn't do that with my brother. We nearly look identical. Yeah. I still lie and tell myself I'm the better looking of the two.
Yeah. But you don't know.
I feel like I know.
Yeah. We had Matthew Shepard on the podcast one day, and we talked about everything that happened in the state legislature, and law and politics, and religion. We just talked about everything you're not supposed to talk about. And I said, now, Matthew, probably the most serious question I'm going to ask you today. Who's the better quarterback, you or John Thomas? And he's like, no question, it's John Thomas. He said, no question about it.
Oh, he abdicated. He just give it to him.
You were sitting there.
I know he did.
You explained it he's explaining it to the people.
I'm explaining it to the masses.
Oh, okay. The masses.
Or
all four of our viewers. Yeah.
Your wife.
Yeah. She don't watch.
Oh, she don't watch
No,
that.
she don't watch. She's like, I listen to him enough at home. I'm not going to watch the podcast.
Yeah, we were catered one time and I cooked steaks. And they said, come sit down with us and y'all eat with us. I said, oh, man, we don't eat that stuff we cook for y'all. I said, oh, we don't eat that. So your wife, my wife, if it's on a reel on Facebook, she'll watch it.
Yeah, yeah. I have to pretty much tag my wife in it and then wait 2 or 3 days for her to see it. Yeah.
Because she ain't going to check it.
Because she's not going to check it, no. But, saying that about cooking,
Yeah.
We went, we cooked all those ribs a few weeks ago.
And was good.
And thank you. And then someone was like, man, I bet you just chowed down like,
Once you cook, by the time you get done with it, you don't want it.
The smell of it.
49 racks of ribs? No, I didn't want any ribs.
Hey, can I give you? So I went to Little Rock yesterday, and got through, and Martha said, "Well, you want to go eat somewhere?" I said, "Let's go eat at Corky's." She goes, "Good, I love ribs." So she bought a rack. She said, "I'm gonna bring some home." Not as good as Sandy's.
I appreciate that. I do.
But here's what I told her. I said, Sandy's cooking them competition ribs.
That's right. That's right.
And you can't, and Sandy has told me, you can't put what he puts on them and have a restaurant because you couldn't pay for them.
You go out of business.
You couldn't pay for them. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a cousin who has a restaurant in Center, Texas, Daryl's Smokehouse, 520 Hurst Street, Center, Texas. Check it out. My cousin Steven and his wife own that. And so I went down there one time, and I didn't tell anyone I was coming. I went in, and his wife didn't even recognize me when I walked in, which was fine. And I got me a plate, and I don't even remember what it was I ordered, but I went, sat down at the table, I'm eating, and I look up, and Steven walks up. He's like, "What are you doing?" He said, "Man, what did you get?" And I told him, and he's like, "Well, why didn't you get blah?" I said, "Oh man, this is fine." And he's like, "Well, tell me they didn't charge you." I said, "Of course they charged me." I said, "I didn't tell anyone."
You make a living off this, bro.
I said, "I'm secret shopping." And so he's like, "Well, how was it?" I said, "Man, it was good." And it was good. And so I don't know, a few weeks later, we were all together for something, and I had made some brisket. And he's like, "Man, why don't my brisket taste like this?" And I said, "Well, it's your rub." I said, "The only thing I can say about your brisket was your rub." And I said, "Let me bring you some rub." So I was about to make a new batch, and it cost me about, well, depending on how much it cost me about $40 to $45 a quart to make this rub. It's not rub that you can just use every day. I mean, this is competition rub. And so I took him like a half gallon of it. About 3 days later, he called me and said, "Dude, I'll take as much of it as you can make." He said, "Get it down here as fast as you can." I was like, "Man, you can't afford this stuff." And I said, when you get through with a brisket, you get it off the pit and you cut it up. If you went and got a brisket right now and you cut up everything, not the burn ends, but you cut up everything else you could sell a sliced brisket, how many pounds of brisket is that? He said, 6.5, 7 pounds. I said, Okay, so you would have to go up about $1.25 a pound just to pay me. You can't do that. I mean, meat's already expensive enough. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Man, I need to do something." He said, "I have never gotten the compliments on our brisket as I've gotten the last 3 days." And I was like, "All right, well, I'll help you with it." And so I went back down there a week or so later, and we sat down. I said, "What's your rub recipe?" And he did one of these. We're in a room by ourselves. He said,
"Yeah." I said, like he had the Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah, I said, "Bro,
Bush's beans."
yeah, beans.
Yeah. I said, "Bro, I'm not going to," and he's like, "No, you just don't realize this is what I paid for. The building, yeah, it's there and all that." He said, "I could have built that building a whole lot cheaper than it cost." He said, "But this is what cost me." And I was like, "I got you." And so I looked at it and he said, "What do you think?" I said, "Well, I think you got robbed."
If that's what you bought.
If that's what you bought. And there was just some weird stuff in his rub recipe. So we just sat down and came up with a new one. And he tested it out and he was like, "Totally different. It's 100% different." It was just some stuff in there that I don't know.
There's 3 or 4 ingredients that you need to put in there.
Salt, pepper, garlic powder, paprika.
Yeah.
If you want color. Yeah. Now, a lot of Texans, they cook just salt, pepper, or salt, pepper, garlic powder.
Yeah.
But, he told me, he said, what he noticed was, he said, when I eat your brisket, he said, when I just took some of that rub, put it in my mouth, he said, it was like the flavor started here. And it's like, he said, you ever see like when you pull that thing out on a cell phone cover and it just, I was like, yeah. He said, that's what it felt like. He said, it felt like the flavor just ran to the back of my mouth. I said, yeah.
That's what it's supposed to do.
That's what it's supposed to do. And I told him, I said, it's the dry mustard and white pepper. And I said, and here's the thing, they are equals. So if you making a big batch and you put in, a half a cup of dry mustard, you have to put a half a cup of white pepper so that they balance each other perfectly.
And white pepper is generally what people won't put in.
Yeah, because one, it's expensive,
and it's not
easy to find.
Well, it's not a run of the mill seasoning.
Yeah, and so, but anyway, he's just told me, he said, man, it's just night and day difference what I'm hearing from people, and like, yeah. So
anyway, yours is better than
I need to charge him. I need to charge him what he paid for that other recipe.
So now you got to pay me for this.
Now you got to pay me, Stephen,
for the new recipe.
Like what I just learned is I need to hang out with Danny a little bit more.
Yeah, because he just give you, and he didn't tell you everything.
I just learned. I mean, if it's not Kinder's, I'm not real good with it. So.
Yeah, that's it.
Ooh,
yeah.
that hurts. For somebody that makes their own rub, that hurts.
Yeah, it does.
So John, my wife's a caterer and pretty good cook. She's a pretty good
she's
cook.
a fabulous cook.
And her daddy was the cook of their family. In fact, he was a cook in the Army. So he was over at the house, and he's up in age, and he said, and he called my wife Press. He said, Press, he said, get your pen and paper out. Said, I'm gonna give you my chicken and dumplings recipe. So, oh boy, she's thinking she's gonna get it. She writes it all down and starts cooking it, and finally she tells her sister, and her sister's named Margaret, but my daughter calls her Monkey from little. Anyway, she says, Monkey. She says, Daddy, give me his recipe. She said, but it just doesn't taste like his chicken and dumplings. She says, well, read it off to me. So she did. She goes, well, that's not his recipe. Said, he's give you a bogus recipe. She goes, that old sucker. And he was gone by then, She goes, well, let me give you Daddy's. She says, oh, so he gave it to you? She goes, no, he didn't give it to me. I went in the house and found it.
Yeah.
But even on death, he wasn't going to give his recipe.
Give his recipe away. So
and chicken and dumplings is basic, but, it's you could mess it up.
Oh, easily. Easily. The only other people who've ever known my rib recipe, my wife knows it, but Robin Carroll, may he rest in peace.
Yeah.
Because Robin and I are the ones that came up with
invented it.
We did it together. Mm-hmm. And he even told me one time, because I had said something online about, somebody said, hey, man, I had some of your brisket. It was really good, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, it's that secret recipe from Judge Robin Carroll, the hanging judge. Mm-hmm. And I said, that's what the secret is. And he called me, he said, I don't know what you're talking about. And
Robin,
and I was like, I said, it was a rub recipe you and I came up with.
Dude, we made it up.
He's like, I have no clue what we did. And I was telling him, he's like, I do remember us doing that. He said, but I couldn't remember portions or anything. And
who else makes a pretty good rub is Tom Mangum.
Oh, listen, Tom Mangum would take the yellow pages, put it on the grill, and you could eat it. I mean, it's good.
He gave me a shot of it just and it was something else. But he put Laura's rib rub on there. Yeah. And so I used, but I only had this much. And it's good though. Boy, he can grill.
Yeah. I had an employee once, Rodney Wimberly, and may you rest in peace. Rodney was known for he partook of
ganji.
Schedule 1 narcotics, I guess.
Of the ganji.
Yeah. He was a weed smoker. And so he gave me some
before you could buy it down there at the dispensary.
Yeah. He gave me some rub that he made one time, and he asked me, he said, "Do you use that rub?" I said, "Yeah, but the problem was, Rodney," I said, "after I used it, I said, I could see words come out of my mouth. I could smell colors.
I was still hungry."
Yeah. And for some reason I had the munchies.
Yeah. Still hungry.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things. I mean, I tell people all the time, man, cook to what you like. Don't try to imitate someone else's recipe.
Yeah.
A lot of times to me, recipes, especially when you're talking about rubs and sauces and stuff, they're a good starter. Maybe you didn't know that you have to use this if you use this, but it's a good starter. But man, do it to what you like. And I made it took me 10 years to make that rub. It took me 10 years to get it right. And then it took me 10 years as well to make a sauce. I make my own barbecue sauce. And so I made a big batch of it the day we were cooking the ribs. And David Lee is standing there with me. He's like, seriously? That's all. That's all. And he's like, no, really. I was like, taste it. You tell me. And he's like, and that night we were there and, people are getting rib plates and they're eating and they're like, man, those ribs are good, but that sauce, and
That's a lot of things in life, though. It's you can overcomplicate it and make it real hard in a hurry and mess it up.
Mm-hmm. But and a lot of, especially sauce, is regional. I'm a Texan, so sweet, tangy barbecue sauce is kind of that's nostalgic for me. If you're from South Carolina, they do that weird mustard thing, and South Alabama, they use that white barbecue sauce, that mayonnaise sauce, and up in Kansas City, it's going to be different, and it's going to be different in Cincinnati. And I mean, it's just a lot of times that kind of stuff is regional. And so that's why I say cook to what you like. I know tons of people, and we had this discussion. They love to cook with mesquite, not Sandy. Do not bring mesquite around me if I'm cooking. And I'm really kind of that way about hickory. I don't like using hickory either. And they're like, you're a Texan and you don't cook with mesquite? I'm like, I'm an East Texan, so
there's no mesquite in East Texas.
There's no mesquite in East Texas. I like to cook with pecan.
Yeah,
that I like pecan. One, it's softer noted, because man, just a little mesquite, and next thing you know, you can't eat it. And to me, I feel the same way about hickory. Plus,
and if you cook with it, you'll always get nauseated. It's so much smoke inhalation.
The thing is, I don't mind smelling like my pit after I get done cooking, unless I cooked with hickory. I don't want to smell like it. I just can't do it.
Can't get rid of it.
I can't get rid of it at all.
I'm hungry.
So it's like I walk in my house and I can tell if somebody's been cooking with something that has maple. That's like, I got to leave. I can't be here. And I pulled up. Cam was in like 3rd or 4th grade, I guess. And I pulled up in the driveway and I called back when I had a house phone. That's how long ago it was. And Cam answered and I said, hey, whoever's got that hazelnut crap burning in my house, get it out of my house now. And he's like, where are you? I said, in the driveway. And he's like, you can smell that? I said, I certainly can. Get it out of my house. And so next thing I see him was going out in the backyard with a candle. He took it outside because I can't do it.
Now you got me hungry.
Yeah. Hey, well, guess what? We have some wings over there. By the way, today is National Wing Day. In case you didn't know.
And we've been winging it.
Sorry. But
that's sorry.
But we got these from Timberlane Meat Market, their new location at 101 East Main. And we got a dozen of the hot honey lemon pepper wings and a dozen of the sweet and spicy wings.
That doesn't mean that's how many are left.
No, there's nowhere near that many left. But we do have some over there.
Hey, y'all have mentioned twice since I've been here how good those wings were. So I knew they were over there.
We'll take a break and we'll eat some more.
We'll take a break and let you have at them here in a second. But hey, also while we're talking about our friends at Timberlane Meat Market, Boomer, Mediterranean garlic oil.
I saw that.
And again, it's not for everyone. You don't just go buy this just because. But if you are serious about the product you're putting out, the product you're cooking, say you're cooking a special meal for someone or something you really want, they've got not just this, but they have tons. They have Italian olive oil. They have, again, the Mediterranean balsamic vinegar that's like, looks like it was made in a refinery somewhere. I mean, it's awesome.
Cool.
And then, Boomer, I told you about this a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
But this is their pure Southern honey with the comb in it still.
Yeah, it has the comb in it.
And then I saw over there just a few minutes ago, they also had some ghost pepper infused honey.
Yeah.
And
I've heard of that.
I'm out on that. But
you don't do ghost.
No. I'm
they
white.
Say hello.
I'm white, but I'm not that white.
You say goodbye.
Yeah. And so, but then, and don't forget the stuffed mushrooms, the boudin stuffed pork chops,
the duck fat.
The duck fat. That's right. Beef tallow. They did get another shipment of beef tallow. So evidently we brought some beef tallow onto the podcast a few weeks ago and like, hey, you can get beef tallow, at Timberlane Meat Market. Well, like within the next week, they sold out of it. And it's taken them about a month to get another shipment back in. But they've got plenty of beef tallow on hand. Again, the duck fat, aerosol cans of duck fat as well. Mm-hmm. And so you can get that. But the fried green beans, again, the stuffed mushrooms, the boudin stuffed pork chops and boudin stuffed chicken, and of course, premium cuts of meat. That's all at Timberlane Meat Market, and that is 101 East Main in El Dorado. Stop by and visit with them. Let's take a break.
Okay, we will.
Yeah, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with more of Off the Back Porch right after this.
Leadership matters, and El Dorado is moving forward. Under Mayor Paul Choate, we rebuilt streets and our wastewater plant without raising taxes. We strengthened public safety, upgraded parks, expanded internet access. New businesses are investing here. Jet service to Dallas is connecting us to what's next. Safer streets, real progress, a city working together.
I'm Paul Choate. Together we've made progress, and together we can keep making El Dorado the best it can be.
Experience, courage, common sense, all of these are traits we want in any elected position, but especially in the man we will pick as our next sheriff. Michael Fife hasn't just been in law enforcement for 30 plus years. He's the one who answers the call in the middle of the night, putting himself last and Union County first, looking folks in the eye, doing what's right, standing up for all of us. Vote for Michael Fife for Union County Sheriff.
If you born and raised in Arkansas, make some noise right now. You got it. What an amazing place they've built right here in your town.
Hey, Caitlin.
Hey,
You and me, we see everything. You on the court, me from up here.
you are 10 feet tall.
Runs in my family. Hey, you know who else sees everything?
State Farm.
Yeah, they look at everything to make sure you get coverage that fits your life and budget. I also see the camera guy wore his nifty vest again.
It's nice, huh?
Hey, you got any lip balm in there? I'm trapping like crazy.
Coverage that fits your life and budget. State Farm.
For 50 years, one name has kept South Arkansas rolling strong: Smackover Motors. From brand new rides to dependable pre-owned vehicles and hard-working fleets, Smackover Motors has helped generations find the perfect fit for the road ahead. And long after the sale, their expert service department keeps you moving with trusted care, honest work, and hometown service you can count on. 50 years of keys, miles, handshakes, and community. Smackover Motors, driven by service, powered by trust since 1976.
Hey, welcome back for more of Off the Back Porch with Sandy and Boomer. And Boomer, we're not just off the back porch.
Hang on a minute. I hear you, Sandy, but I can't see you.
Is it? Because,
there you are.
Over here.
Yeah. Over there you are.
Yeah. But we're not just off the back porch.
We're on the big couch.
On the big couch. You got to do that part, John. On the big couch. So when they're like, how was it? You'd be like, oh, yeah, it was great. But we were on the big couch. Big couch, yeah. You talk about the shirt. So this comes especially from our friends at Country Village Sporting Goods.
Yeah.
And, man, it's thin and it's stretchy. And it's that moisture wicking.
Moisture wicking thing.
Yeah. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff on this tag right here.
Yeah, you're supposed to take them off, though.
Yeah, but I didn't read it. I should have read it ahead of time.
I follow you.
So, dang it.
But it's lightweight. It's
lightweight, and it's so for early hunting season.
Yeah,
this is perfect.
Yeah,
and
pretty good pattern on there too.
Yeah, I like the pattern too, and it's pronounced Puma.
Puma.
Yeah, Puma, and they say it's everything that Sitka is at about half the price.
Sure. Yeah, because Sitka's very proud of their stuff. And I saw that he had that line. It's a pretty good line.
Yeah, pretty good line. And by the way, this upcoming weekend is tax-free weekend. So you can get this without paying sales tax.
And wear it to school. Wear it to school.
You don't even have to wear it to school. You can just buy it.
Oh, you can buy it tax-free?
Yeah, tax-free.
I thought you had to be school stuff.
Well, who says this isn't?
That's what I'm saying. Wear it to school.
Yeah, but you don't have to wear it to school.
You don't have to get it tax-free. It's just tax-free.
It's tax-free. That's right.
Okay. But it's just right before school.
Clothes and up to $100 per item. It's tax-free.
Cool.
School supplies, things like calculators. Yeah. But think about this: hats, gloves, all tax-free this weekend.
Okay.
So go to Country Village Sporting Goods. Footwear. footwear. So you can go in and check out them lacrosse boots.
Yeah, they do have
tax-free.
A line of lacrosse boots.
Yeah.
They've had waders. They've got waders there too.
Now I'm gonna venture a guess that waders probably don't fall under the tax-free.
No, they're not going to be under $100.
Well, no, they're not going to be under $100.
Yeah.
But even if they were, I bet they don't fall under the tax-free thing.
Probably not.
Yeah, I just can't see an issue where you could convince a state auditor I'm wearing these to school.
Well, see,
because it does get
we've
deep.
had it.
It does get deep sometimes at school. But you could, if you're a preacher, you could say, I'm going to use these in my line of work because when we baptize people, I'm going to put these waders on.
Yeah, I asked my pastor one time. I was like, "Dude, you were just in the baptistry like 35 seconds ago. How are you out here in a in a way
suit.
too expensive suit? We don't pay you enough for those suits, by the way."
Mind blown. I remember the first time that hit me. I was like,
"How did he get out here so fast?"
Yeah, and he's like, "Waiters, man, waiters." I'm like, "Oh," and he's like, "And it's a great tax write-off."
Yeah.
Now he's using them waiters blasting ducks out of the air a whole lot more than he's using baptizing people, but still.
Yeah. Well, it's just like the preacher that had to build a swimming pool because they didn't have a baptistry at the church. So,
of course,
that's to baptize the brethren.
Yes,
and he wrote it off on his taxes, and IRS said, "No, sir, you can't."
Yeah.
Oh, before you said that last part, I was going to say I should have been a preacher.
Yeah. No, thank you. No, thank you. I've got a friend who he is no doubt whatsoever he was called to pastor a church. And because his church has a motto, and it is, "Lord, if you'll keep him humble, we'll keep him poor." And they live up to that motto very well. And, there's times that this whole side of the church is mad at this side, and he'll be preaching, and this side will look over and say, "Mm-hmm." And then he'll be preaching, and this side will look at this and say, "Mm-hmm." Hurts when it fits you, don't it? And then this family's mad at this family because this one's daughter broke up with this one's son, and he has to deal with all that every day. And no doubt he's called to do it.
And there's some of those religions where the pastor takes all the bills and takes care of.
Yeah.
Until a lot of people start coming to the church.
Yeah, until he makes some money.
Until he starts making money, and then they say, "Well, we need to take all that offering, and we'll pay the bills."
I had a friend.
That's a true story. That happened.
I had a friend who pastored in a church, and when he got there, they probably had 7 or 8 members. Massive church, but it had just gone so far south, it was terrible. And they said, "Preacher, we can't pay you anything. Here's what we'll do: anything that hits an offering plate, Sunday school offering, missions offering, anything that hits a plate, 50-50. And he's like, "Okay." And he said, "Sandy, the first year I was there, I made $1,300. And he said, "My wife was cooking peanut brittle." That's a clue as what religion it is. "My wife was cooking peanut brittle in the kitchen of the parsonage on a stove that I had to buy because the last pastor took the stove with him." And he said there was no carpet in the house because that pastor said I paid for the carpet, and he took it with him. And when a pastor and a church separate and he's taking the stove and the carpet, it wasn't a good separation, right? It was not amicable whatsoever. But he said $1,300. My wife's in there cooking peanut brittle. He said, "We're selling peanut brittle, man. Everywhere we went." He said, "I go to the post office, check the mail. I took 2 jugs of peanut brittle with me, just in case I could find somebody who wanted to buy them, And the last year that when he and I were talking about it, he said, "But you know what?" And he said, "Last year," he said, "I made $300,000." Now this was in the early 90s. He said, "I made $300,000," and I was like, "Brother, that's fantastic." And he said, "Yeah." He said, "And my deacons decided they're going to have a board meeting, and they called me in there and said, 'Pastor, we just think we're paying you too much.'" And he said, "Okay. Is 50% not 50%? And they were like, "Yeah, but you made $300,000 last year." He said, "You're right, I did. Sure did." He said, "I want you to check something before we go any further." He said, "What was our bank balance on January 1st of this year?" And they told him what it was. And he said, "What's our bank balance now?" And they told him, he said, "Exactly $300,000 more than at the beginning of the year, right?" "Yeah." He said, "Well, who do you think put that new parking lot in out there?" "I paid for that." He said, "Y'all haven't even paid an electric bill. You hadn't paid church insurance." He said, "The new church van, I bought that." He said, "The new roof on the parsonage, you didn't get a bill for that. Ever wonder why?" And he said, "Because I paid for that." And I mean, it was just, and he just goes down the list. And he said,
a litany of things.
If you think y'all are paying me too much, that's fine. What do you think I should make? And one of the deacons, one of my cousins, says, well, there ain't hardly a member out there who makes more than $1,000 a week. He said, okay, $1,000 a week it is. $52,000 a year. That's fine.
But y'all pay all the bills.
But now y'all going to start paying your bills. And
that changes things.
And I was like, brother, you just, he said, Sandy, it's not about money.
Yeah.
He said, it's never about money. Mm-hmm. He said, everywhere else in life, it's about the money. He said, but in this situation, it's about the power. Yep. And he said, I got there were 7 members. He said, we have 700 now. And he said, and that's where it.
Yeah.
And he said, my days are numbered. I'm smart enough to understand that. And I'm like, dude, that it would be hard to pastor a group.
Oh, any group, any pastoring's hard itself. It's thankless.
Yes.
Gandhi said he'd think about being a Christian if it weren't for the Christians.
If it wasn't for, yeah.
And, there's a joke, an inside joke. He said, being on staff at a church is fine except for the members.
So, well, it's like I used to, and I literally did pray it. I said, Lord, I love you, but man, I can't stand your kids.
Yeah, me included sometimes. Yeah.
But all joking aside, I have always looked at being a principal as looks a whole lot like pastoring.
It's similar.
Yeah,
it's similar.
And the fact of the matter is you don't just have one congregation though. You have several congregations. So you've got the kids. Yeah. Now you've got all those teachers and other administrators. Mm-hmm. And now you have parents and fans and so on and so on and so on. And yeah, I don't want y'all's job either. Matter of fact, if I can figure out a way to have no job,
that's
job what I'm working on.
That's the job I'm looking. We all looking for that job.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you, if I find out where they're hiring for that, I'll let y'all know. We can get in line together.
Appreciate that. Yeah. We'll do that. Start cooking ribs.
Oh my God. Yeah. Until you do it, and then you're like, I'm not having fun cooking these anymore.
It's no fun if I have to.
Yeah, look,
I'm gonna let you cook, and I'll just hang out.
Yeah. Those 49 racks we cooked that day. I'm just like, and people say to me, Sandy, you need to go into business. I said, first of all, I have way too many friends that I've watched just work themselves into bankruptcy,
especially in the food business.
In food business, and especially with something where everything's meat. You can't, man. You got to sell 7 pounds of potato salad to make up for that brisket you just had to nearly give away to be able to sell it. So,
and brisket used to be. I know we're trying to get to another subject, but brisket used to be the cheap meat.
Yeah, it was
at one point in life.
Yeah, and so were ribs.
So let's just cook a brisket. Yeah, we feed a bunch, we'll cook a brisket.
Yeah, you cook a brisket, and man, not anymore. Of course, that's what happens when you learn how to make it right.
Everybody wants you to cook.
Everybody wants that when you cook.
When you do them Boston butts, you've done some Boston butts for us. That was pretty larraping too. So.
Yeah. Boomer's wife called me one time. She said, San, she said, I think I've let my mouth overrun me. And I was like, yeah, what's that?
Like 400 people.
She said, I'm catering this event, like 400 people. And she said, I got to figure, and I'm going to need to cook like 11 briskets and 20 pork butts. I was like, okay. She said, I got a stack of dead presidents. I'll hand you to do that for me. And I was like, okay. So got all the stuff, got all the meat. And man, I had smokers all over Arkansas going. I had the one where I was living at the time out in Weston. Yeah. I had it stacked up and going. Yeah. And then I ran back into town. I put over here at the Myrtle house, I put a bunch on the smoker there. And then I ran to my house and put a bunch on the smoker there. And I spent all day just going, 2 days actually, going in circles and getting them. And of course, then when I got them off, I went ahead and sliced all the briskets up and
pulled the pork
and then vacuum sealed it all up for her and then froze it. And I told her, I said, all you got to do is when you're ready, about 30 minutes ahead of time, put it in a pot of boiling water. And I said, it'll warm up in that bag and then you just pour it out.
And whatever she paid you, it was worth it, brother.
Yeah. Well, she told me, she said, I wasn't expecting you to do all that. So she gave me some extra dead presidents. So, I don't remember what it was either, but it was, but I bet I didn't cook on my smoker for a month after that because you
didn't want to anymore.
Didn't want to. The kid said something the other day about, Dad, why don't you smoke some burgers? Which, by the way, if you've never had a smoked burger.
Yeah, it's a different deal.
Yeah. When you eat a smoked burger, you'll throw rocks at a grilled or a fried one. And, Daddy, why don't you smoke some burgers? I said, no, I'm not feeling it. I just got through smoking 49 racks of ribs.
Yeah, and plus it's hot outside.
It is hot.
Well, talking about grilling burgers. I mean, one of the things that we do every year as seniors, we do a senior picnic.
Yeah.
We get out there by the grill. We cook 300 burgers, 300 hot dogs. I don't want
No.
Nothing that has to do with a burger or hot dog
For a
while.
Yeah. Our church does a thing out at the complex every year. And Nick Ray called me one time. He said, man, I need some help on the grill. Can you help me on the grill? I'm like, yeah, I'll help you on the grill. And so while they're doing a little church service under the gazebo thing out there, Nick and I over there, we're doing burgers and hot dogs and, and got sausage and this going. And then at one point my wife said, after it was all cooked, she said, you want me to make you a plate? I said, no, I don't want a burger or a hot dog. I'm good.
And there's something about smelling it all that time.
Just standing there that whole time. Yeah.
But the fellowship you get when you're sitting there around the grill with your buddies, but
they looked at me strange when I cracked open a beer.
Well,
it was a church function, Sandy.
Well, I don't know how to cook without drinking beer.
Well,
did they want to find out? I don't know.
I guess
none of that. That didn't happen.
Might not be as good as you planned it to be.
Right. That's what, look, y'all want it to be good or not?
Yeah. Because
mind your business.
I poured right on them.
Turn around, preacher's talking about you. John, y'all are getting ready. Y'all start classes, August 6th?
Yes, sir.
And I know y'all have teachers are in service right now and doing professional development. And,
yes, sir.
Y'all had some special speakers come in?
We had one come in for opening session Monday.
Yeah.
And Robert Jackson, I think was his name. Pretty good. I say pretty good. It's really good. Good enough that I texted my wife some of his quotes and I was like, hey, this pertains to us. Like he's stepping on toe. He's preaching this morning.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was one of those, why we're here, what we're doing, you're doing it for the right reasons kind of thing. But most of our professional development we handle in house. Today I took some of my teacher leaders and they do these things really well. Share it with the rest of the staff.
Yeah.
And so that's what we try to tap into more than.
And he mentioned Boomer, his wife, and John, like you and me. Matter of fact, at last night's meeting, we elected him as president of the organization.
Yeah.
The Married Out of Your League Club.
Yeah. Batting out of your
batting out of your class.
Coach Reed told me one time that we were punting out of our coverage.
Yes.
Punting out of your coverage. Over punt. Yeah.
Over punt or out kicking your coverage.
Yeah.
And, we said the same thing to Randy Rainwater. I'm just saying we said that with Randy because it wasn't just that look at her, then look at him. Chick can golf, man. She was a heck of a golfer.
She smoked all of us.
She did. We went,
not that we're good, but
we went out
better.
The four of us went out and played, and man,
on a cold day,
it was very cold, and she's teeing that ball up and striking long and straight.
Not from the ladies.
She was hitting from the whites with us back there, and she's out driving us by 30, 40 yards every drive.
Y'all let her swing first, and you went,
shouldn't have done that. And then we get to a par 3, and it's like 180 yards, and I'm gonna have to swing a 4-iron, man. I can't hit a 5 that far, or hit a 5-wood or something. I just can't do that. And she's over there and said, so what are you swinging? And she's like, I think I'm gonna swing an easy 8. Oh, okay. An easy 8. Yeah. And she does. It's just a little easy 8 and drops up there like 3 feet from the cup and like, oh dear Lord, this is going to be a long day. So then I started looking for the beer wench. I'm just like, bring her back around here. We're going to need more beer.
Just follow us.
We were probably the only people on the course that day. It was cold.
It was cold.
But
that's one of those times you can't even make an excuse for why you're getting beat.
Yeah. No. Cannot make an excuse at all.
Like, speaking of golf, about the best golf I do is putt-putt golf.
Yeah.
But we went to Hot Springs a couple of years ago, just me and Morgan. And I hate that I'm admitting this on air, but she was beating me. And it was like, I'll let you win.
Oh, yeah.
And that scorecard is still on our fridge at home from about 5 years ago. And luckily.
So she's not going to let that go.
Oh, no, absolutely. She doesn't let anything go.
No, of course not.
Luckily, I have beat her the last 2 times we played since then. And it just kind of helps me out when I say, I'll let you win that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it does lend a little credibility to it. But the truth of the matter is she smoked you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So August 6th started. Y'all taking some more days off throughout the year? Is it going to be early off or what?
We call it the alternative. It's not, they call it an alternative calendar.
It's 4 days.
It's not a lot of difference. Our spring looks nearly identical to what spring previously looked like.
Okay.
We start a little bit early and we get a week off in October.
Okay.
Which all schools are busy, but at the high school, especially because I'm going to speak for it, October's just that long month.
It really is.
Just so happens that this year, the way the football schedule is and all those things, it becomes a busy month, not necessarily a long month, because we have parent-teacher conferences the second week. The third week, we're off, and then we come back for homecoming.
Yeah.
So it turned in from that long month to a really busy month.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's really the only difference.
Okay.
Is that
week in October.
Yeah.
And, you know, of course, I'm speaking for about 63% of the parents in the El Dorado School District, or at least those who took the survey.
I was, to be specific or anything like that.
I was very in favor of the original alternative calendar.
Yeah.
And, you know, there were people using a misnomer of year-long school. Well, when I was in Houston Independent School District, there were some schools, they were trying it out, what they called year-long school. And basically was you went September, October, November, you were out the entire month of December. Then you went January, February, March, you were out the entire month of April. And then you went May, June, July, and you were out the entire month of August. And that actually worked pretty well for some of those schools. And I had a cousin who was in that kind of a school. And the funny part is you really didn't notice. I mean, back then, spring break was going to be the week, Easter week, whenever Easter week was. So sometimes you could have spring break in, you know, very early March or maybe late April, just depending. But, you know, we started school the Tuesday after Labor Day, and we got out the Friday before Memorial Day.
Yeah.
That was
just the way it was.
That's how it was, you know. But they started looking, the test scores at that other school was better. The absenteeism was better. Absolutely. And this was in the 70s, you know, and so I was all for it. I realized there were some reasons that, you know, some school board members didn't like it, and that's certainly their call. If I have a problem with that, I should run, and I'm not going to do that. So, but I like the schedule. And again, this is twice now that it's happened. I think it's 2 years in a row. Kids missed an entire week in January or February because the roads were just iced over.
Yeah.
And all they had to do to make it up, Boomer, they didn't have to go to school one extra day. All they had to do was just not get out early on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
For 4 Wednesdays.
Yeah.
And that made it up.
And that made it up.
Made it all up. And that's what I like about the schedule.
Yeah. And that's one of the things. I know Mr. Tucker has explained it to you before, but some schools do by minutes. We do it by days.
Mm-hmm.
And he said it. I've said it. I think every teacher would agree that they might not admit it, but they know we need them every day we can get them. And some of them need us every day that we can get them.
Mm-hmm.
And so
there's some kids that if they don't eat at school, they're not eating.
Correct.
And that's a big thing.
And I like the calendar. I work a 240-day contract, so I'm there year round.
Yeah.
So it really didn't matter to me. I told Mr. Tucker and Mr. Clemens right there before opening session the day that I was glad everybody's back because that high school is really big, and really quiet in the
There's
summer.
only so many times you can go down the slide, right?
No, I don't get a slide.
He don't get a slide.
You don't get a slide.
Yeah, that's the new intermediate school's getting a slide. Yeah. I can't wait to see that. That's going to be hilarious.
I can't wait to see the principals meeting when all the principals go down. That's good. Yeah, but
look, just do me this favor.
I'll record.
Pull your phone out.
I got you.
Yeah. There's some principles I just can't wait to see.
There's some things you just can't pass up having.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep.
So,
but it does. It does give us. It gives teachers and kids a little bit of a break every now and then. But when you look at it, you look around the world. Everybody around the world doesn't do it like us.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're compete for those test scores that we compare to everybody else in the world. But they do it different.
Yeah.
This calendar, the traditional what we call traditional calendar now, and it was made because they had to work the fields.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
And it's
had
like,
to go work.
Most of these kids aren't working anymore.
Not in the fields anyway.
No.
Now, where I grew up in East Texas, some of those high school kids, a lot of those high school kids are still working in the fields.
And now I'm not going to say I worked hard. My grandfather owned an oil company, and I worked for him as a grunt, and
scrubbing tanks and whatever,
pipe threads and everything else, toting pipes and just cleaning, weed eating. I can't necessarily say that I worked in the oil field.
Right.
But I worked around the oil field.
Adjacent.
And I did all the things that nobody wanted to. I felt like they just shut it down from the time I went back to school every year to the time I came back. Nothing. There was
I left them pliers there last year.
There was no general maintenance. They just kept operations happening. There was no there are days.
Oh, John will do that when he gets out of school.
Yeah, John will do that.
There are days.
It's April. He's almost out.
There's days I look out across the front lawn at the high school and I think, man, I wish I was outside. I miss that manual labor. And then this summer I turned around and I looked out there and you could see the heat waves rippling across. And I thought,
thank God.
Man, I got an inside job.
Pop showed me something.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that was my friend Ken Sibley, who ran my radio stations in Magnolia for years. And before that, he owned them. But his dad, when Ken was in college and they got out for the summer, his dad already had him a job lined up in the oil field. And he said, the one thing that taught me was I do not want to work outside. So Ken, he decided radio was his calling.
Yeah.
But, the only thing I would change about the high school is there needs to be access to that pond over there.
So you can fish?
Yes, absolutely. I'd be glad to take the kids to school.
You can't walk over there?
You can.
Oh, can you? Bingo.
Again, I don't want to say it on air.
Yeah.
There are paths that are cut in, but they're cut at angles where you
just don't see them when you're driving by.
You can thank Chris Borowski for that. He and Jackson. They've caught. There's some decent fish in there.
That's what I've heard. That's the thing is I've heard that. I had told Jax.
Catch and release.
Catch and release. That's right. I told Jax when it was his senior year and they're getting ready to go back to school. I said, Jax, you and Garrett Martin, y'all have got to get you just a little flat bottom and get out in the middle of that pond and get a picture on the first day of school. And they never did.
You just gave the first senior prank. Thank you, Sandy. I appreciate that.
Thanks a lot.
That'll be what I get when I get to school the first morning. Kids in the pond.
Kids in the pond. That's right. Years ago, Kelly Walters had put me on I don't know, some kind of council or panel or something for Yoakum. And she was bemoaning the fact that there was a lot of foot traffic going between the elementary school and the primary school. And some of the characters were not the most savory of people. And I was like, I can fix that. She's like, you can? I said, sure can. Give me a couple of days. And she's like, what are you going to do? I said, it's probably best you don't know. And then I had a picture put in the El Dorado News Times of about a 17-foot timber rattler and said it was killed on that property right there. All of a sudden, that little trail, it was grown up. No one would even go across. No one would even step on that property.
It'll got me.
Where was that at?
The property it was wooded between the old Holy Redeemer, which was Yoakum Primary, and Yoakum Elementary School.
Yeah.
Well, when they came in and cut all the trees down, there were people who started cutting through there.
Yeah.
And it was funny to me because they used to not cut through there when there was trees. We don't know what's in there. They'd be like, I'm not doing that. And then as soon as it was clear cut, well, they started cutting through there. So I just took a picture and took it down, handed it to Shay.
And it wasn't the children; it was just characters.
No, I don't even remember where I found the picture. It was like probably online or something.
No, I mean the people walking back and forth.
Right? Yeah. No, it wasn't children. It was people it was just neighborhood people, and and it was starting to amass some litter, and the litter was bottles of Mad Dog and Thunderbird and stuff like that, and it wasn't the best idea to have those people
around
walking along the fence of the primary school.
Yeah,
and so I don't remember where I found a picture and I printed it off. I think I had it printed on photo paper, and it's just a couple guys and they're holding up like this massive snake, and he's holding it from here and it loops down. And this guy's got the other end of it over here, and she's like, "Where was that killed?" And I just told her, "Pop right there." So they put it in the paper.
See, I even knowing that, I have no reason to go to Yoakum. It's just that's how I feel about snakes.
Yeah, well, I'm the same way. I can never be part of that religion. No.
Well, you asked Daddy what my daddy was. So what kind of snake was it? He said one of those bad ones.
One of the bad ones. It didn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
A snake.
It's the one that doesn't have a head on him now.
Yeah, that's right. I'm out. I'm out on those snakes. So,
yeah, me too.
Let's see, gentlemen, what we got here. Oh, yeah, this is good. Dear Sandy and Boomer, especially Sandy, I know y'all
We
said
tune out then. Especially Sandy.
I know you've said that y'all don't share your stuff with Boomer ahead of time because it's his reaction that's kind of the heart of the show. I must admit, for both my husband and I, Boomer's reactions are some of our favorite parts. However, we have agreed that we think you should start giving Boomer more of a heads up because I found myself concerned for his heart and his general health when I watched his reaction to the woman who walked in on her in-laws doing freaky stuff with a swing and handcuffs. I legitimately thought I was going to watch paramedics come in and save Boomer's life. He was laughing so much and so hard, I'm pretty sure both he and I stopped breathing at times. I mean, do what you want to do, but I think for the longevity of your show and for your friendship, you should really consider giving him a heads up. Signed, Barbara in Princeton.
Well, Barbara, in the for full disclosure, Sandy did tell me. He did tell me. In fact, he called me.
Yes.
And read that letter to me prior to us. He said, listen, this is so far out. He said, if we never get another letter
I will be
on the
just
show,
fine.
this would
be great
take the cake of it.
Yeah.
And he read me the whole thing, and it is so far out. I said, Sandy, I said, that's not, you can't make that up.
You can't, I don't know
I
how
guess you could.
I mean,
but
if Stephen King wrote it,
yeah,
or John Grisham.
But my reactions were still genuine because if you read it again today, it would be just unbelievably flabbergasting that this woman almost walked in. Well, she did bang the door down.
She did actually go in the room when her mother-in-law was in a swing.
It's okay.
Baby oil was involved.
Context clues. It's
handcuffs.
Y'all can leave it alone.
Handcuffs.
Anyway, yes, Barbara. I didn't know if Boomer would say that or not. Believe it or not, I actually did give him the heads up on that one letter.
Called me.
I think
none of the other ones.
I don't think that's the only time I've ever called you
this
about.
This one was so far fetched.
Yeah,
and he says you got to listen to this.
And his reactions, you're absolutely right. If you'll go back and watch that reel, which by the way went viral, shut our website down, shut our server down.
Did it really?
Yeah. At one point, we were getting like 6,000 likes a minute, and it was like okay, but. If you go back and watch, you'll actually see he tries to finish a couple of sentences for me. He knew what was coming.
Well, you could almost guess.
You could. Yeah. But sometimes when you do that, you're wrong. And what I'm saying is you're saying it's going to be this and it's going to be A and it was actually B. Yeah. But every time you did it there, it was A and it was A. And so anyway, yes, Barbara, I understand. Listen, I knew I had given him the heads up, and he was sitting right there, and I was worried about him as well.
But Barbara, I went and got checked up yesterday, had a heart cath yesterday, and I'm fine.
They said he has no heart at all.
None whatsoever. Just a little hamster.
Dear Sandy and Boomer, I feel like I know you both. I grew up listening to you on the radio, and I actually graduated a year after Jax, whom I agree is very handsome, and a year before Camden, of whom I am so awesomely proud of. I need some advice, and y'all know a lot about cooking. I live in an upstairs apartment, and my downstairs neighbors are absolutely obsessed with grilling. Normally, I'd be jealous because who doesn't love the smell of a good steak or a burger? The problem is these people can't grill toast. They invited me to eat with them one time, and I swear the meat tasted like what I'm guessing Mr. Clean Magic Erasers would taste like. Every evening, without fail, they fire up that grill. Then my apartment fills with the smoke and it reeks. It's like they season everything with lighter fluid, overcook it until it turns to charcoal, then somehow cook it for another 20 minutes. Just yesterday, I came home from work and was getting out of my car, and I thought there was an electrical fire. I was wrong. It was just Grill Master Greg, my downstairs neighbor, and whatever he was doing to a chicken on that grill. The smell comes through my windows, my bathroom vent, and somehow even into my closet. Everything in my apartment smells like someone cremated a stack of styrofoam plates. God almighty.
That's good.
I've tried closing windows, running fans, lighting candles, even spraying air freshener. My mom came to visit last weekend, and the first thing she said when she walked into my apartment, wow, it smells like burnt pork chops and Febreze.
Not to be specific or anything.
Yeah.
My neighbors are nice people, so I don't want to start a neighborhood feud. Do I politely say something, buy them a cookbook, give them a meat thermometer, or do I just accept that my lease now includes the added expense of taking every item of clothing to the cleaners for an unsmoking? Signed, Emma, Conway, Arkansas, EHS class of 2018.
Well, I would guess that they barbecue under the eave of the upstairs, and it's, maybe ask them to roll it out. Said, gosh, I think y'all are doing good, whatever.
Yeah, there's a lie. There's a lie involved.
You got to soften it.
Emma, I'm sorry to say this. There's going to be a lie involved.
So, would you mind doing it? Because everything in my house smells like smoke all the time.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll say, butt out.
They might. Because, my next door neighbor here came over one day and said, can you do me a favor?
Hold it down.
He said, can you not bang on the walls between like 9 and 12 tomorrow? She said, we have a rep who's coming in and we need to really... And I was like, well, I shouldn't have to. I've finished the renovation. And, this wall was shelving. And I had to take all that down and like build a frame. And anyway, so I was like, no, but I'm still a little salty about it.
Yeah.
That I'm not really.
You know what?
I'm not really. I'm not really a little salty about it.
You're not salty about it?
No, she's great. She's a great neighbor.
Is she really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good for you.
And, but no, you're going to have to go down and lie to them at some point and just say, hey, man, really love.
Kudos on the smoke. But I just don't want it every night in my closet.
It's in my closet. And
it's in my hair. I can smell my hair, please.
Yeah.
I don't have that problem.
Yeah. Well, me either.
I don't. We don't either.
Yeah.
Well, your neighbors over here, Sarah Langley works in there.
Yes.
I texted Sarah a while ago and I said, I can hear you.
Did you really?
Yeah, we go to church together, and the men's Sunday school room and the women's Sunday school room used to share a wall.
Oh, I got you.
And Sarah taught the women's, and her husband Jimmy taught the men's. And you could hear Sarah.
You could hear each.
And so I texted her, I said, I can hear you.
Well, this morning I got here, and Sarah told me, she said, I hear you playing music next door. I was like, oh, I was afraid of that. She said, no, I like it. I was like, I don't know how, because I'm not any good. But, the whole thing is, I cut off a finger when I was like 20 years old, and they sewed it back on. I have no feeling in the end of it. So that pretty much killed my 6-string. I was learning 6-string guitar at the time. And so I've been just trying to develop some muscle memory. I have to watch because, again, I can't feel. But I think if I do it long enough, maybe I can develop some muscle memory. So I give myself about 15 or 20 minutes a day. Most of the time, it's like if I'm rendering video and my computer's useless to me while it's doing that, I'll sit down with my guitar and I'll pick or play something, little thing. I do not sing because she don't want to hear that. She might like the music. She would not like the singing. So, so I'm humming to myself, and I even hum out of key. So I'm pretty sure that somewhere in the Bible says something about making a joyful noise.
It didn't mean me. Noise.
It did not mean me.
Yep. I hope the Lord enjoys it
because no one else does. That's right.
That was my daddy. Yep.
Yeah.
He made a joyful noise. But.
Yeah.
So I tell her, just
you're going to have to lie at some point, Emma, and going to have to get them to move the pit. So
or just find a new apartment.
Yeah, I mean, one of y'all's lease is going to run out before the other one.
Monitor. Ask the manager. Ask the manager if we can upgrade. Get me a downstairs apartment sooner.
Something, yeah. Dear Sandy and Boomer, my ex-wife and I were married for 8 years. We divorced, and it was about as amicable as a divorce could be. We share custody of one child, a 5-year-old son. So it is common for us to see each other, talk or text on the regular. I've not made an attempt to have a relationship since our divorce, which was almost 2 years ago, and I don't believe she has either, at least not that I'm aware of. We did promise each other we would keep each other informed of any possible love interest because it would obviously involve our child. We were on the phone just the other day, and before we hung up, she called me Bear. Problem: Bear was her pet name for me when we were married, especially if she were feeling the need for adult time. My question is, am I reading too much into this? I was watching one of your podcasts and you said guys read too much into stuff. Is that what's going on here? Was it just a slip of the tongue, or do you think she was dropping a hint? And it's signed by Barely Know What to Think. First of all, yes, you are putting way too much into it. Way too much. My ex-wife and I were on the phone one day. Been divorced, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years, And she's like, hang on, honey, hang on, honey. I was like, okay. And because that was her pet name for me. honey. And I'm like, okay. And then she came back and she's like, wait,
I didn't mean that.
Did I call you honey? And I was like, you did. And she's like, I am so sorry. I said, oh, it's fine. And called me that for 20 years. I can understand, y'all are married for 8. I mean, I'm glad you had an amicable divorce and that y'all get along and for the sake of your child, but yes, you are way overthinking it. It sounds to me, and Boomer, John, y'all tell me if I'm wrong. It sounds to me like you hope there's something there. And if that's the case, let her know.
Let her know. That's what I was thinking.
I don't know why y'all divorced. That doesn't matter. But y'all have a good relationship. Let her know. Hey, the other day I realized it was probably a mistake. You called me Bear. But I've been happy about that since then. Just tell her and let her know that was okay. Because if she realizes she's done it, she may be beating herself up. Like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that.
Hope he doesn't think,
or what if he does think? Is there a possibility? She may be having those feelings as well.
Not that women overthink things either.
Never. I've never known of one. Ever. Yeah. Ask my wife about my secret second wife.
Yeah.
Holly.
Well, I do it all the time. Every time I hang up the phone with my wife, it's all right, love you, bye. I was doing something the other day in the office and I had 2 or 3 things going at the same time.
Said that to Mr. Tucker?
No, it wasn't Mr. Tucker. One of my secretaries came in and she's like, all right, I'm going for the day. And I was like, all right, love you, bye. And she kind of, it just locked her up.
Yeah, it froze.
I said, yeah, bye. Yeah. It was just.
I do love you. Yeah. Put the words back in. Yeah. It's, but I mean, I remember one time, I worked for Bill Nolan and my wife had called me and we were talking. I was like, okay, love you, bye. And hung up. And whomever was sitting there with me looked at me and I said, oh, that was Mr. Nolan. they laughed, all right, love you, bye.
If their divorce was just real amicable and didn't seem to have any problem and y'all just parted ways or grew apart,
whatever.
And it's been 8 years.
Well, they were married for 8. They've been divorced for 2.
That's right, for 2.
Yeah.
Did I miss it in there? Were they remarried?
No. Neither one of them has had a relationship.
Absolutely, you say something to her.
Yeah, you got to say. I think you say something. I agree with you.
It sounds like he is still interested.
That's what I'm thinking. It sounds to me like you hope there's something there, and if that's the case, man, go talk to her because maybe she does.
Just walk in and say, "Hey, what's up?" No, don't. Yo. I was thinking maybe you and me.
Hey girl.
That concerned me what you just did.
John's like, all of a sudden, I'm very uncomfortable sitting here.
And we're taking a break.
I got the creeps real quick.
Yeah. But it sounds to me like, first clue. I don't know how old he is, but you have one child is 5. I'm going to assume y'all are still both pretty young.
Yeah.
And the fact that
late 20s, early 30s,
she has not had another relationship in 2 years,
and
you haven't had another relationship in 2 years, because it sounds to me like this is fixable.
Yeah.
So, you can. I think you definitely need to say something to her. But yes, you're definitely overthinking it. Now, let me say this: you did say she uses that pet name, especially when she was feeling amorous, right? That's not what she was thinking. I can promise you, that's not what she was thinking.
Wouldn't.
She was not hoping you'd come over there and ravage her. That's not what she's thinking at all. But if she did use that pet name and neither one of you had relationships, it sounds to me like y'all have a chance to make this thing work. So now, that's if you're going to listen to me and Boomer at your own peril.
At your own peril.
Do so at your own risk is what I would say.
So in high school, my music teacher, I'm heavy into music. My music teacher, daughter, year younger than me, I'm over at their house and she wasn't even there. Girl I'm dating, she was somewhere else. So she comes in and we were eating sandwiches or something, and she said, God, I'm glad y'all got some food out. She says, I'm ravished. And her daddy looks at me and says, she means famished. She means famished. Because he eyeballs me real quick. He goes, really?
I had a very similar situation at 7th grade. I had been at this junior high and had a little girlfriend. Her name was Jody. I cannot remember her last name. And then I moved and lived with my mom for a very brief period of time. So I started going to a different school. Well, Jody, I knew on such and such Friday, she was going to have a party at her house, a birthday party. And so I talked my mom into that Friday taking me and dropping me off at her house. And she did. And I went up, there were cars outside and all, and I went up and knocked on the door, and her dad came to the door, and I asked, to see Jody, and he's like, she's not here. And I was like, but it's her birthday. And he was like, it is. And she and her mom are gone to blah, blah, blah. I said, but she was having a party. He said, she decided not to have the party. And he's like, but come on in. And I got to sit and talk with her dad for 2 hours, waiting for her to get back, who, by the way, chief detective of the Houston Police Department. Mm-hmm.
Interrogation.
You better believe it. Yeah. But let me tell you this. If you can sit through 2 hours of interrogation by your girlfriend's dad, you can make it through any interrogation.
Yeah, right.
You're good.
She must have been pretty.
She was pretty.
Yeah, she was. I had to leave.
But it never was dads that scared me. It was the moms.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know why. Like, I just... They get a little bit crazy in them sometimes.
Yeah. It was this was the kiss of death for me. Parents liked me.
Yeah.
Parents liked me growing up.
Yeah, then the kids
and then the daughters were like,
yeah,
my dad likes you. Too easy. You got to go. I'm trying to find me a bad boy.
Yeah.
I was a bad boy, just not in front of her parents.
Yeah.
But, that was the kiss of death, man.
You were Wally on Leave It to Beaver.
Once a dad wrapped his arm around me and took me out to his shop and said I could use his tools.
She might as well be done with you.
Yeah, she was done with me.
That was a death sentence.
She was done with me, and I remember I was dating this girl one time, and a friend of mine had asked me to be in his wedding, and so I was going to go, and it was in Dallas, and I wanted her to go with me, and I'm 19 something years old, maybe 19, 20 years old. And so I asked her dad, and he's like, Sandy, I like you. And I don't know what all you and my daughter have done, and I never want to know. But I know if she goes off with you for that weekend, there will be no doubt in my mind what you've done. And I don't want that. So no, she can't go.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Bobby.
Yes, sir.
Retired steel worker.
Yeah.
With arms this big around.
Yeah, she is not going with you for the weekend.
She's not going with you for the weekend. And so, he was playing, look, y'all have done whatever you've done, and I don't know about it. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not knowing. But if you take her off for the weekend, I know exactly what's going to go on, and I'm not okay with that. So, yes, sir. Yes, sir. You got it. He's always showing me his new guns, too.
Yeah.
Always.
Come look at my guns.
Hey, you ever seen this 44? Come over and look at this thing.
Trigger.
How big is that hole right there?
Yeah. See how quick that trigger works, bro.
Yeah. That was the other thing. We'd be off out, and he said, man, if I ever shown you what this thing can do to a tree, boom. And
I kind of feel like that's where he got that, the story he was giving us during the break about the shovel. I think that's where he got that.
That was a dad story.
Dad story, yeah. I wish it were. That would have been pretty cool. So, anyway, let's take a break. All right, we're going to take another break. We'll be back with more of Off the Back Porch right after this.
When it comes to protecting your home or business, trust the name that's been serving South Arkansas for 3 generations, Cross Roofing and Sheet Metal. From residential roofs to large commercial projects, the experienced team at Cross delivers quality you can see and reliability you can count on. Cross Roofing and Sheet Metal, built on trust, proven by results. Call Cross Roofing today. Put a solid future over your head.
For over 6 decades, Glenn Mechanical has been specializing in HVAC, plumbing, and all mechanical jobs. 3 generations family-owned and operated since 1956. Glenn Mechanical's business is based on relationships. They support and give back to the communities they work in. Contact them for all of your HVAC, plumbing, and mechanical needs. GlennMechanical.com.
serving South Arkansas for 25 years, and all the while expanding and growing throughout the state. ProMed Ambulance is proving their motto of world-class care and hometown values. For example, their new mobile integrated healthcare communications center. This state-of-the-art facility allows communication specialists to work directly with local 911 call centers to ensure the closest medical team is always dispatched to any emergency. World-class care and hometown values. For more information and career opportunities, go to promedambulance.com.
I did the right thing. I went to school, got good grades, got a good job, and worked hard every day. I paid my taxes and my Social Security. Then, when I got injured and couldn't work, the government told me I wasn't eligible for disability. Well, if I'm not eligible, then who is?
With experience in disability law, the team at Rushing Law Firm works hard to help clients secure the Social Security disability benefits they deserve. Don't face the process alone. Call Rushing Law Firm today and let their experience work for you. The Rushing Law Firm, fighting for the benefits you've earned.
A new shipment of express boats is in at Country Village Sporting Goods. Or maybe your boat just needs a little TLC. We have appointments available in our service department. And of course, we keep a great selection of Catalina campers. New baits, new tackle, and the latest in gear are arriving every week. So when we say everything you need to get to the water, the woods, or the camp, you know we're talking about Country Village Sporting Goods, 965 Smackover Highway in El Dorado. Like us on Facebook.
Hey, welcome back for more of Off the Back Porch with Sandy and Boomer. And Boomer, you probably hadn't noticed, but I gave up the camouflage shirt.
Yeah.
But so
we can see you again.
Yeah. But so I could show you this.
Okay.
And this comes from our friends at Country Village Sporting Goods.
Okay.
And which, you know, if you're a bow hunter, I mean, that place is like heaven.
Yeah.
And I'm not a bow hunter. And I think the two torn rotator cuffs
maybe
is a big part of it.
Yeah.
Because I tried to pull this one back a while ago.
Couldn't.
I'm
sure they got it turned up.
I hope so. I hope it's not down at, like Junior Kitty level, Weenie Hut Junior level or something, Was
it the Brave? Was that the old brand of bow you get at Walmart for kids?
Yeah.
Brave bows.
Yeah. So, but this one, Boomer, again, I don't know anything about bow hunting, but I know I like that sight right there. That it's got a level in it.
Yeah.
And I can already tell you my eyesight is bad off because I thought I was holding it level and I wasn't. But anyway, this is the custom built rig that they have at Country Village Sporting Goods. And
they'll tune that sucker for you.
Yes. Yes. And that's the thing. Now, again, I don't pretend to know a whole lot about bows. And the reason I'm saying that is because when I spout these things off here in just a second, you'll know, oh yeah, Sandy doesn't know what that means.
Okay.
Because I don't know what that means. Draw weight, 45 to 60, 55 to 70.
That's
the amount of pressure it takes to pull it back. Okay.
Yeah.
And then something that they call the let off. The let off is 80%. Now I'm assuming that's when you get it all the way to here. It takes about just 20% of what it took to pull it to hold it.
I don't know if that's what it means.
I don't either. Most of them lock in, and it's as long as you don't wiggle much, you don't have to worry about it.
Upgraded Trophy Ridge accessories, Swift Duo, Hitman with quick disconnect, and a VRSA light quiver. Now I think I'm holding the quiver.
That's the quiver.
Yeah. New hybrid cam with 80% let off, cable roller system for a smooth draw, and complete dampening system with in-limb, in-riser, and string stop components.
Yeah, that's what that sticking out.
Yeah,
thing
those rubber pieces.
Yeah, this part up here. And again, man, that's fancy looking.
Yeah. And the cams are the wheels at the top.
Yeah, the wheels top and the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is the setup, and when I was standing there in the store holding it, there was a guy who was like, "How much is that rig?" And Trey was like, "Hang on, don't leave with it yet."
Yeah. Hold
on. But I think Trey upsold him on something else.
Okay.
So, but I mean, really, again, if you're a bow hunter,
that has all the bells and whistles.
If you're a bow hunter, you know what this is, and you know what this all means, and how nice that all is. And
Trey Barker knows,
and he
knows what he's talking about.
He does know what he's talking about. And incidentally, Boomer, I was out there, like I said earlier today, and they're going to make you and me our very own special insulated cups with our names on it.
Really?
Yeah, it's going to have our names on it and
cool.
Our South Arkansas Now logo.
Well, thanks.
And they can do that stuff there.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to that. And then also, I don't get to fish nearly as much as I'd like.
Either. Yeah.
And well, it's because somebody gave away the boat.
Yeah, I did give away my boat.
But I've been watching. I saw some videos, and they're using these things that they kind of look like spiders. These lures that they look like a spider. And I noticed that Trey had some, and I was like, these can't be the right thing. He's like, what do you mean? I said, well, you've got them here. There are 4 of them in here for $25. I said, I'm seeing them online. They're $18 a piece. And he was like, yeah, I know. And I was like, and he said, well, those are the small ones. He said, but the big ones are right over here. And I looked over there. Well, there's 2 in there for $25. And I said, again, I'm seeing them $18, $19 a piece online. And he's like, and I guess I could sell them for that. He said, but I'm happy selling them for $25 for 2.
2 for $25?
Yeah, or 4 for $25.
And what are they?
It's a lure, and you hook them. There's a number of different ways to hook them. What I've seen most successfully is they hook them like with frog hooks, and you bury those hook barbs up into those spider legs.
Okay,
and then you get a little bit of weight on it somehow to get it down. Get it underwater.
I hadn't seen that one.
Man, they've been killing some largemouth with those. I've been seeing those. I also saw somebody the other day that used a rubber ducky, just a little bitty rubber ducky.
Yellow?
Yeah.
Put a frog hook
put a frog hook in it.
Hungry fish.
And was pulling it across the water there, and a big old bass, like 11-pound bass, just came out.
You saw that online?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we hadn't been out fishing.
No, we hadn't been fishing. So, no, the last time Boomer and I went largemouth bass fishing, he set the hook and yanked one completely from that side of the lake.
Wasn't near as big as I thought it was.
And
it felt good, though.
Felt good when
he's over there, and I could tell he's about to set the hook. Boom! And when he did, all I saw was this missile come out of the water.
Little dink flew by.
I'll show you a picture in a minute. The last time I got to go fishing with my pop, we were down at Felsenthal, and I have when he set the hook, he set the hook. I've been in the boat with him when he broke the pedestal on the boat, setting the hook. And I was taking a picture of him to send to my grandma, and he set the hook, and you can see the worm on the camera right at my. And
oh no!
Yeah.
Oh my!
Yeah. Oh my is right. Yeah. 7.5-inch red shad worm. I can tell you exactly what it was.
Did it slap you in the face?
I got it. Yes, sir. I received that one.
Wow. I have a friend who's a professional guide on Sam Rayburn Reservoir, which is a massive lake. I mean, you could fish Sam Rayburn every day for a year and still not cover the whole place. But he took Casey and I out one day, and man, it was flooded timber, and we're in there and we're casting, and he was like, "Did you get a bump just then?" I said, "Yeah." Okay, so fishing again. He said, Did you just get a bump just then? I was like, yeah. He said, Sandy, you realize the bass don't have hands, okay? So if they're bumping it, that's with their mouth. You need to set the hook.
You need to pull on it a little bit, maybe.
Yeah. But, he's sitting there just watching my rod, and he can tell when I'm getting a bump,
Yeah.
So, but we still had fun. We didn't catch. I think I got one almost to the boat. And
well, the rule is if you can see it, it
counts. Yeah, unless trying to weigh them.
Yeah,
it's funny you talk about that because I said to somebody the other day, they hit a golf shot and it was terrible, but it ended up great. It's like it hit a tree, went across the windmill, through the clown nose, and on the cart path, and then rolled onto the green. And I said, hey, it's not baseball. They're not drawing a line of how that went.
It's how it ends up.
Yeah, and same thing. Monday night, we're men's league out here in El Dorado. We were actually playing Big Al from the meat market up here, and
from now on, I can't
not call him Big Al.
He's going to be Big Al from now on.
But I hit one about this far above the tape, and it just barely cleared Allen's head right out in the outfield. And he was giving me a hard time about how sorry it was. I'm still at first,
standing on first.
It's the line driving the books.
Yeah,
but yeah, same thing.
So, yeah, that's hey, just like that home run that bounced off the center fielder's head and went over the fence.
Still a home run.
Still counts the same way as if you hit it 480 feet.
Right.
I mean, it still counts exactly the same.
It's not as impressive.
It's not as impressive.
Because some of those that got hit in the home run derby were impressive.
They were.
Man. I want to tell you the most impressive home run I've ever seen. It's a kid from Smackover. DeAndre? Is that his name? He would be closing in on about 30 now. I think he ended up going to SAU and playing football scholarship there. Purefoy, yes. I can't remember his first name. But he's like 11 or 12 years old, and I'm umpiring. I'm behind the plate at a game in PC. And somebody grooved him a fastball, and dude.
He turned on it.
Oh, my. I don't know if that ball ever came down. There was the fence, and then about 30 or 40 feet past the fence was pine trees. And it was over the top of that first row of pine trees, and it was still going. And I'm like, I've never seen a baseball hit that hard in my life.
By that young a player.
The second one was a kid who played for me. When he started playing for me, he didn't even know which hand to put the glove on. It's Contravious Moore. We called him Kmart. And you remember Kmart, you know. And Kmart saved my life one night. I'm standing in third base coach's box, or I'm standing actually at my dugout, third base dugout, and Kmart's playing third base because he had a rifle for an arm. And he's turned around, he's looking, and I said, Kmart, turn around. Coach, I said, no, turn around, you're going to get hurt. Coach, she got a gun. I was like, I started grabbing it. The other team had a runner on third base. I grabbed him off the bag, and Qatari was behind home plate, and Qatari's like, Coach, I said, lady with a gun. Man, you should have seen the number of kids that scattered and got off that field. We had them in the dugouts real quick, and somebody got the police, and the police showed up in that apartment complex behind the field. But man, that was scary.
My first year in El Dorado coaching, I had Kmart and them in 7th grade football. That was a fun group to coach.
Yes.
They were smart. And I tell people all the time, my first year in coaching, I mean, it was cupcake. I had great kids. I mean,
well, you won a state championship in football.
Yep.
You won a state championship in baseball.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I helped Scott Perry with basketball, and we had Czar and Ryu and that whole group. So it was like, I mean, got done my first year. It was like, you can't tell me anything.
That's right.
I found out real quick.
Yeah.
But no, that group with Kmart and them, we would run the same defense and the same shifts that the varsity would run, and they were smart enough in the 7th grade to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that alone, we dominated people because nobody moved.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times we would shift the defensive line just because, and you get a false start. And like, there were several nights that the defense outscored the offense. I used to give Scott Perry all kinds of grief about it because I outscored you tonight, man. What are you doing?
What's going on?
What are you doing over there?
Yeah. Are you going to do anything this game?
Yeah. Yeah. Those were the good days. Those were fun.
They are. And, you know, I've refereed everything from those 7th grade games to the varsity games. And those 7th grade games sometimes were just phenomenal. Yeah. You know, I still wonder to this day, Crossit, for example, is one of those schools or one of those teams that when Jax was coming through, and especially when we got to All-Stars, man, every single district tournament and state tournament, it was us and Crossit facing off in the finals. And then, but something happens at the high school level. And I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know what it is, but our kids seem to really excel. It's like I'm doing a 7th grade game one time between El Dorado and Magnolia, and that Magnolia team was sticking with us. I mean, they're sticking with El Dorado. So what happened? You know, what happens in the next few years? Is it just no off-season training? I don't know. And, you know, now I realize when you got a full varsity team over there, it's 40 kids, and we've got one over here, it's 85 kids.
Yeah.
There's a big difference. You know, there's a difference. Because out of that 40 kids, you may have 2 playmakers. You may have 2 Friday Night Light guys. Yeah. But there's a chance we're going to have 6 or 8 over here. Man, last year, Bertavian Brown, that kid, and I coached him in baseball when he was a little bitty kid. But to watch him, you know, the shame to me is he's 5'6", you know, because he didn't play he played like he was 6'9".
He did.
And on that defense, man, and how fast he could get in the backfield.
He's an athlete.
And just disrupt everything, you know. And you could tell when teams figured out that's the guy. So we got to cover him.
He's over here. Go that way.
Yeah. It reminded me of the days. The big kid nearly made me wet myself at Meet the Cats. Went to the University of Arkansas. I'm drawing it.
Bijan Jackson.
Bijan. I'm sorry, Bijan. I really am sorry for that. You'll get old one day. And but Bijan, I remember when there would be teams that would triple team him. Okay. That's fine. You just gave up the whole other side of your offensive line. Yeah. Now you're really in trouble.
I remember his senior year, Coach Reed he'd get a rep and he'd go over there and do up downs just so they could get another play off and the offense could get a chance. He was my first memory of him was we were doing the kids camp at Barton and we were in the dome and we were good time in the 40s and stuff like that. And some of the varsity players there and Coach Johnson was like, "Hey, Bijan, run it for the kids so they can see it." And that big sucker took off. And I was going, oh my gosh, I don't think he's going to stop. And he was so blooming big, I thought I was going to be the receiving end of that. And luckily, I was not. Yeah. That was a big boy, and he could move.
So one year at Meet the Cats, we were doing it at the old Murphy Oil building out on the grass back there behind the building. Back. And I'm standing there on the ground with the mic, and I'm calling off names and Bijan Jackson. Well, little did I know that the Swami had told him, "Hey, run at him like you're going to tackle him." And I look up and all I see is Bijan coming at me full speed. Mm-mm. I think I wet myself. I'm just going to be honest and say, I think I at least wet myself a little.
You squeal a little bit on the mic.
Look like a jump scare.
So you understand what I felt.
100%.
Like you almost felt him running at you.
Yeah. So like 2 or 3 years later, Arkansas is playing Auburn, and Bijan busts through the line. And you see that Auburn quarterback, and he looks up and he sees Bijan, and I paused it in the perfect spot, and his eyes were this big. I took a picture with my phone, and I made a Facebook post that, "I know what you feel like, brother. I saw that same thing one time." Except the difference was Bijan did hit him.
He turned on you.
Yeah, he turned, not hit me. He did hit that guy. Yeah, but thanks, John Painter. I owe you one.
Yep, still.
Actually, no, I don't, because his lovely wife, when they were moving from El Dorado, she had put some stuff they had for sale that they just didn't want to take with them. And one of them was a cooker. And so I was like, "I'll take the cooker." And she's like, "Okay." I said, "Where do you want me to leave the money?" She's like, "Look, just whatever. Don't leave the money. Just come get it so it's gone." And about a year later, I text her. I said, "Hey, I just realized I've never paid you for that cooker. Give me an address and I will send you the money right now." She said, "I don't want your money. I wanted the cooker gone." So,
and you took it.
So never mind, John. I don't owe you one. But thank your wife.
And we'll go back to that, what you were talking about a while ago, the change, I believe, for our kids in El Dorado is our off-season programs and our strength conditioning programs. Now, when we were all in school, you had athletic period.
Yeah.
Everybody, it didn't matter what sports you went.
Did bear crawls.
Yeah. We're able to get kids in, train them during the day, do strength conditioning during the day, and then at the same time, our sports medicine program can get those small injuries early.
Yes.
We got 2 trainers that are phenomenal.
Yeah, because my school sports medicine program was rub some dirt on it.
Rub a little dirt on it.
Yeah.
One of my coaches in high school called it the sick, lame, and lazy. And that's you made that list. It was just shame.
Yeah.
But what they do with those kids, Coach Borowski, and the strength program.
Yep.
It is impressive. I mean, and it's really fun. Being a former coach, you see those freshmen come in and they got that little freshman baby look still.
Yeah.
And about November, they walk down the hall and you go, "Daggum, kid."
Yeah. Bigger shoulders, bigger arms.
Yeah, you didn't cut down a little bit.
Chest.
Yeah.
Chest is spread out. And,
it's fun to watch. I mean, just to see the kids in that program. And a couple of years ago when Stephen Jones was here, we beat Greenwood because of their injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, we didn't have those injuries. We didn't have the pulled muscles and the cramps and the rolled ankles because of the training that they had prior to it. And so that's one of the things I would say. But also at the same time, we run off seasons.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, and we don't lose. We share kids.
One of the first things I noticed about Scott Reed when he took over as head coach is all of a sudden we had kids on the sideline who were wrapping ankles,
mm-hmm.
who were taping wrists, who were when they would call a timeout, there were 3 or 4 kids that ran out there with the water bottles, and you didn't see that at the high school level, at least not in Arkansas. Now, again, I grew up in Texas, totally different world when it comes to football, right? It's a religion. But you started seeing that. I remember 2008, I think it was. I look down there and there's Taylor Ogden down there. She's wrapping ankles. And so what does she go to college for? Sports medicine, and
Coach Vaughn was running that then. He kind of headed up the trainers. Nick was
what a good guy.
Nick's he's brilliant.
Yeah. Where did he go? He's got a new job.
He's in Maumelle now. That's where he's at. He left Camden to go to Maumelle. And
good for Nick.
Yeah, good for him.
Good guy.
And let's talk about it, okay? I am stoked about Brett Shockley.
Oh.
Obviously I've been an OBU fan since I met Rex Nelson. Years ago, Rex and I put together a radio network of different stations around the state that would carry OBU football. And matter of fact, the first producer for OBU football was Micah, my daughter. And so I got to follow an OBU football back then, and OBU had just turned the corner. They'd had several down years, and they were coming back. And back then, this was even before the GAC. I don't remember what that conference was called, but they had people like Valdosta in their district or in their conference, and I'm just telling you, Division II, Valdosta is about as good as you can get, and I remember them going to Valdosta and beating Valdosta. But anyway, I've been a big fan of OBU. I've kept up with them. Of course, Jax was a trainer for OBU football team for 3 years, and I just been amazed watching them. And I'm a huge fan of Coach Knight. And because I've said before, he may take in boys, but he when he lets them go, they're men. And so I remember a few years ago, UAM was looking for a new coach in Monticello. And one of the names that started being floated around was this tight end coach from OBU, Brett Shockley. And I remember talking to a buddy of mine who's an alum from UAM, and he's like, he's not coming. He's not coming. He's already made it known. He's not coming. Well, then Valdosta was looking for a coach. Whose name did I hear? Brett Shockley. And I'm thinking, if you want to be a head coach, Valdosta is not a bad place to go. Although it's in Georgia, it's still not a bad place to go, but he didn't go there. Then last season, I think it was Northeast Oklahoma State looking for a coach. Brett Shockley's name's floating out there. Oklahoma Baptist looking for a coach. Brett Shockley's name is floating around out there. And he turns all those down. So color me surprised when, we're sitting at the school board meeting and they announced the new head coach is Brett Shockley. I'm like, can't be the same one because he's never leaving OBU. Right. And I asked Mr. Tucker when he was here, I said, so Jim, I got to ask you, how did you get a coach who was basically Todd Knight's right hand for 19 of the 21 years that he was at OBU, head of recruiting? How did you? He said, you know what? I know how he did it. He said, but that's his story. I'll let him tell it. And at that time, we were supposed to have Coach Shockley the next week, and then he had an issue that we have to reschedule.
Well, he promised me today he's coming. So I will hold him to it for you.
What I'll do is I'll text you the day before.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But I'm looking forward to having him. I think, and obviously you don't call football games as many years as I did. You don't referee as many years as I did without knowing just a little something. Even if you're an idiot, you're going to pick up some stuff about the game, right? And I am an idiot. And there are things that I've seen from coaches that I like, and some things I've seen that I didn't care for. But again, that coach knows their personnel best. I was one of the ones last year was like, come on, guys, we got to find a kicker. We have to find a kicker. And you mean tell me there's not a girl on the soccer team that we can't send out there? We beat Pine Bluff in a state championship one year because they didn't have a kicker. And, I just go back to, we played Shiloh, the eventual state champion in 6A football last year, with a 3-point loss. We lost in the quarterfinals by 3 points. We went for it on 4th and 5 when we hadn't moved it. It was first and goal from the 5. And it was still 4th and goal from the 5. So we hadn't moved it because we didn't have a kicker. Then we finally did try a a field goal later and we missed it. That's 6 points. We lost by 3. I don't know if they would have changed the outcome of the game or not. I don't know what would have happened if we played Greenwood. I'm just saying that the best team in the state, they wore out their knees that week because they were beside the bed praying, thanking the Lord that we didn't have a kicker.
Me and Coach Jacobs were standing on the 5, so I watched that play, and that one hurt. But you're exactly right. I mean, because
that was our first drive of the game.
Yes,
and we were not supposed to. All that week we Grant Merrill and I. We did a statewide high school football preview that week, and every coach and everybody that was interviewed on that, all they talked about was Shiloh's defense. And I mean, don't get me wrong, Shiloh had a great defense, but I wasn't nearly as impressed by their defense as I was their offense. I mean, their poor little quarterback, if he could throw accurately, they could have blown us off the field in the first half. It'd have been mercy ruled because he had guys getting open. He just couldn't hit them. And but man, when they were clicking, that offense looked good.
It did.
But at the same time, that El Dorado defense last year was so brutal.
And they were young. And that's the sophomore. We have a couple of sophomores that when they were, I referee football too, and doing junior high games. Those nights that Reggie Thomas wasn't there, I was white-hatting. When they were freshmen, I mean, usually, in a junior high game, you get right up there by the quarterback so you can talk to him. There were some nights I'm dadgum, these suckers are on me in a hurry. Like I'm backpedaling.
Yeah.
And then they got to high school, and lo and behold, they do exactly what we just talked about. They got into the weight room, and they became grown men.
Yes.
And they have no mercy.
And it showed. It, especially late in the season.
Yeah.
That Sylvan Hills game, I'm going to keep my opinion to myself while we're recording.
I get it.
But other than that, look, Benton, I don't know what happened there. That was just, I don't know if we were beat when we walked out of the tunnel or what. That game, it actually was closer than the score would appear, but that was only because at the end we just worn them down physically. If that were a 5-quarter instead of a 4-quarter game, I think we might have won that game because they couldn't stay on the field with El Dorado after that because physically El Dorado was just beating them down. But man, their speed at the beginning of that game was unreal. And, obviously we've seen lots of fast teams. I mean, El Dorado's had some fast teams.
Absolutely.
I still to this day am trying to figure out how Clay Murphy outran everyone in Pine Bluff, in a state championship game. Justin Billings, man, how a kid that small could just slip through. And next thing, everybody's looking at the back of his jersey because he's gone. We had some really fast teams, but man, that Benton team last year, they were fast at the beginning. But again, as that game wore on, you could see El Dorado's physicality. I don't think it's a real word, but
it sounded good.
It does sound good. It makes it sound like I know what I'm talking about. But El Dorado's physicalness on the field was showing. And I think that, West Memphis was another one that was being touted highly. Although by the time we got to them, I think they were already doomed to a losing record for the season. But they had also gone through Murderers Row. I mean, they'd already played Benton and Sylvan Hills or Bryant. No, it was Benton. Benton and Sylvan Hills.
They had the SEC West.
Yeah, exactly right. And so so you could see why they had a losing record. And I think we came out like the little guy in a fist fight. We just came out hitting, and we came out hitting hard because what you didn't want was West Memphis hanging around.
Correct.
And so, thankfully this year, they have to come here. But that means we have to go to Jonesboro.
Yeah, we were looking at the administrators that go for duty the other day, and I was, it's better than Greene County Tech.
Yes.
When we had to go, where do you go for Greene County Tech? A long ways and hang a left. I mean, it's just, that's about it.
It's one of those that you it's like, or can you still be in Arkansas and get there?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a retirement community up just outside of Fayetteville, right on the
Bella Vista.
Bella Vista. And Mike and Sherry Poor lived at Bella Vista at one point. But to get to their house, you had to go to Missouri first.
Turn around, come back.
And then turn around and come back. And so that's what I always thought about Greene County Tech is
that's
you got to leave the state to get back to it. What was the hurricane that came through that Arkansas's first hurricane? Was that
Rachel?
Not Rachel.
Was it Rachel?
I thought it started with an L. Hurricane Laura. Yeah. And Boomer, after Hurricane Laura come through, he said, you notice she even slowed down going through what's the little town just south of Junction City, the speed trap.
Lily.
Not Lily, but the one. It's
before Rusty.
Dubach. Yeah. You notice Laura even slowed down coming through Dubach.
I've been had in Dubach.
Yeah. You know, when Hurricane Katrina hit in 2005, somebody at our radio station had this bright idea that we should gather up supplies and take them down there. And we ended up filling 3 18-wheelers full of water, mattresses, sheets, you name it. We filled them up. At the same time, you had all these people who had escaped from South Louisiana and Southwest Mississippi who came up. And so then John Dews, who was president of Simmons Bank at the time, said, hey, we're going to bring our cooker down there. We're going to cook hamburgers. So any Katrina, evacuees, tell them to come and we'll feed them. Well, I look up at one point, we've got like 350 people on our parking lot. And we're filling up these trucks. And so we take off. We're going to take all this stuff. We're going to Plaquemine. And we leave out. We get to, and I'm riding with a sheriff's deputy because, there's crazy stuff going on down there. And I'm wearing a vest, as a matter of fact. And so the sheriff's deputy and we take off, and we're kind of leading the charge, and we got these 3 18-wheelers behind us. We get to Dubach. This cop turns around, and he pulls over one of our 18-wheelers. And so we stop, and this sheriff's deputy I'm with goes walking back there to tell him, hey, here's kind of what's going on. And this cop's not wanting to hear it, And he says, I just got to ask you, how'd you pull the middle truck of the 3? We were all doing the same speed. And he says, man, we're trying to take supplies to Katrina victims. And he was like, okay, y'all can go. And so we got down there. Now, it took us 3 or 4 days to fill up those 3 18-wheeler. Why did we think we could go down there and just empty them? Because that was not what happened at all. Until Tony Galata, who is the mayor, and his brother, Galata, is the chief of police. And we show up and they say, oh, yeah, we're going to put them over here onto the old gymnasium. And so we get the big 18-wheelers, they backed up there. And we're like, how are we going to get all this stuff off? And so Tony Galata says, call over down to the jail. Get me some of them inmates. And man, within a few minutes, here come these white buses pulling up and all these inmates in orange jumping off. And brother, within like 6 hours, they had all 3 of those trailers empty. And then the mayor said, man, we really appreciate it. I'm going to take y'all out to eat. And he takes this little hole in the wall place. And I'm like, not sure this place could pass a health inspection, but okay. But it's the best food in the world.
Absolutely.
And we went in there and oh my. It wasn't, we didn't order anything. That lady said, oh no, just have a seat there and I'll bring y'all some food out. And man, I mean, red beans and rice and gumbo and etouffee and jambalaya and you just name it, man. Fried frog legs and oysters on the half shell. And they just kept bringing food out. And it's all truck drivers and me and the sheriff's deputy and the mayor and the chief of police and this cute girl who was, she worked for one of the state representatives, and when she saw everybody unpacking all that stuff over there, she said, I'll be right back. And she went over to her office, and then she put on like some bicycle shorts and a little tank top, pulled her hair up in a ponytail, and she was over there just sweating like those inmates were, just hauling stuff in and out. And I that sheriff's deputy was with me. I said, hey, watch every time she walks out. I said, the work stops. I said, we got to get her away because these guys are never going to get done. These guys been locked up. Yeah, and this cute little girl just jumping out there with her ponytail bobbing side to side. She had no clue, but she went to eat with us. I mean, and brother, the food, like I said, I don't want to see the kitchen. I don't want to know. But as far as what they brought out of that kitchen, my gosh. Only bad thing that happened in that trip, we're leaving town. And one of our truck drivers cut a corner a little too close, and he clipped power line. Well, they had just gotten their power back after like 18 days. They'd been 18 days without power. And this evidently was the main transmission line for the whole city.
Oops.
And I mean, everything in the city went dark. And, man, people come running out of their houses and running out of businesses, and they're, oh no, you know, well, it just so happened that, I think for them, it wasn't SWEPCO, maybe it was, CLECO, Central Louisiana Electric Cooperative, was who handled Plaquemine. But one of the guys who was out there, his brother was a CLECO guy, and he calls him, and they show him, we weren't delayed about 15, 20 minutes, and they got that power line off the truck and got it all tied back up. And you see lights coming on everywhere, and people went to cheering and hollering. And that was, you know, Karen St. Germain. I knew I'd remember her name in a minute. Good South Louisiana name. And now, Boomer, you know, being from that part of the world, the Galatas, I mean, that's like saying Murphy here, you know, that's a family. You just know their names and they're very involved. But, that was, I don't know why we thought we could just go down there and we just unload it.
It was good. I mean, you're just doing the Lord's work.
Yeah.
Didn't think about unloading.
Didn't think a thing in the world about unloading.
We sat them there for days, for a week or more.
For days. And we had, I mean, the Salvation Army, we had the Boys Club,
came in. All
kinds of, every organization in town was coming and doing shifts and loading those trucks. And I don't know why we thought we'd just go down there and they just unload themselves. No one thought that far ahead, I guess. But you know what? It was so rewarding to me, because the town of Plaquemine, they really did. I mean, when they saw what we were doing, they showed up and to help the convicts.
We had a problem trying to find a place.
Yeah, for a while, because most of them said, you know, I can't, because if you bring that stuff here, then we're going to get bombarded by some less than savory characters, and they're just going to steal it all. Until we can get
distribution,
until we can figure out how to distribute and how to keep stuff safe. Mm-hmm. And I mean, Plaquemine was like the 9th or 10th place we called before they said, yeah, we can take it.
And my brother-in-law was in on that too, I think, helping us, because he was down there working and helping us find a place.
Matter of fact, your brother-in-law was, I remember seeing him when we were there, and Mo, he was telling us he'd just come from some flooded part there, and his fingers were blue from the spray paint where they're painting X's on the doors. And then they'd put a little X, you know, for how many dead people were in that house. And he had sprayed so many cans with spray paint that the tips of his fingers were blue. And I just remember, you know, that to me, that's almost like having been in war. You're going to have some PTSD after that, you know.
He said they would pick up in the New Orleans area that was still flooded, and search and rescue would find people, and he said it was like stringers, you know.
Yeah, they would just tie them to a tree or to a power pole,
something. And his crew was picking up dead bodies, and he said it was a lot to take.
It was, and but you know, when the town saw what we were doing and all the water, because that was the biggest thing, was
water. They
couldn't, even though they just gotten power back, the water still wasn't clean,
right?
You know, because the water treatment plant had been down, and they were under a boil order for like 40 something days. And so we unloaded, I know it had to be 4,000 cases of water.
At least. Because that's what everybody brought.
Yes.
Water.
And we told people, said, look, don't bring us your household goods. Don't bring us your garage sale stuff that nobody bought. Don't do that. We will take new mattresses, new sheets, new pillows, toilet paper, and water. And I think that's all we took, but it was enough that it filled up 3 18-wheelers. And I'm not talking about just one level. I'm talking about full to the ceiling 18-wheelers, just full of stuff. And man, that was an undertaking. Now, when those Katrina victims were up here, there was this one couple, and I tried to get around to talk to as many people as I could. And because these people are scared, they left. They don't know if their home is still there. They don't know if, you know, the boat, the RV, they don't know what's still there. So I'm talking to this one family from Pass Christian, Mississippi. And I introduced myself to the husband and the wife, and they had like 3 kids. And the youngest one, she looked to be about 9 or 10, and she wouldn't speak. And the mom said, sorry. She said, her best friend lives in the house right behind our house. And she didn't want to leave unless we took her best friend because they said they were going to stay. And she said, our understanding is our house and their houses are gone. And there's little likelihood that her friend's family made it. And I'm like, oh my God, this 9-year-old, 10-year-old kid's having to deal with that, And I'm choking up thinking about it now. And all of a sudden, that little girl, I'm standing there, she lets out the loudest scream I have ever heard in my life. And to where, her parents and I, we all jump back and like, what? And she takes off running across our parking lot. And there's another little girl screaming. It's her best friend. They both ended up in El Dorado, Arkansas.
That's insane.
And not knowing, and it was like the cousin of a friend, or no, the friend of one of their cousins that sent them to El Dorado was like, hey, tell them if they need, I've got this big place. I've got 4 extra rooms. They can come. And so that family came, not knowing that's where the little girl and her family had come. And they see each other on our parking lot, and the crying, and the family started hugging and crying. And so, my rule, nobody cries by themselves. So
Sandy's right there with
I had to jump in and cry too, It was some interesting. There was one lady who came up to our trailer, one of the trailers where we were loading it up, and she's like, I need my stuff. I'm sorry, what now? I'm from New Orleans. I need my stuff. What y'all gonna give me? No, ma'am. That's not how this is gonna work at all. And she was
This is for the people that didn't make it out.
She was being belligerent. And all of a sudden, this older black gentleman walks over, and he says, he reaches a hand out, and he got rings on every hand, big old gold bracelets. And they said, let me tell you what we're not going to do. We're not going to come down here and act like this. These people are doing something good for our people who didn't make it. They over here giving us free food. We've had free drinks. They've not asked us to do anything. We're not going to act like this. And she's like, well, just who are you? And he said his name. And she's like, oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry. And I'm like, okay.
I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
He carried some weight, obviously.
So there was a couple I had met earlier that both the husband and wife were New Orleans police officers. And so I asked him, I said, hey, that guy over there, who is he? He said, allegedly, he is the godfather of the 9th Ward. Nothing happens in the 9th Ward without his say-so. His family owns a restaurant down in the 9th Ward. He said that has been around since like Louisiana was still part of France. They've been around forever. He said, there's been things said that, they run books and, loan money and you pay back a exorbitantly high interest rate. And I was like, right. Gotcha. So in other words, just a hardworking man. He's like, exactly. So, man, it had to be 10 years later, like 2015. I'm watching the cooking channel or the Food Network or something, and they're showing these restaurants in New Orleans that have come back, after Katrina. And lo and behold, here's that guy. And he's like, and this guy's old as black pepper. And he's like, my grandmama started this, or my great-grandmother started this place. And they were showing how they marinate their chicken and they fry chicken and catfish and all that up every day. And you could just look around the room and tell no one wanted to make eye contact with the camera.
Right.
They didn't want to be seen in there, but they're enjoying the food or they're there to pay some debt of some sort.
Right.
And I'm telling Casey, said, that's the guy. Remember I told you about the guy I met when I said, that's him. And that was the guy who, people started acting up on our parking lot. He was the one who went over there and when that woman said, who are you? And he said his name and she's like, oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry. Okay. So, but that was that family, and they still have that place. And if it wasn't the 9th Ward, I'd love to go visit it, but I'm not going to the 9th Ward in New Orleans. Sorry. Not sorry, really. not even close.
Sure, it's great food.
That's the thing is, it is.
Yeah.
It's great food. And I had been messing around on the radio one time about I wanted chicken and waffles, and one of my African American employees was like, Sandy, I'm not saying there's one in your family tree, but there's a brother standing next to that tree over there by that wood pile waving. She said, you get us way too easily. You know us. And I'm like, I do. I want to try some chicken and waffles. So one of our listeners calls in one day and said, hey, you said you're going to Memphis. Yeah. Miss Polly's Soul City Cafe on Beale Street. I'm like, fantastic. So I couldn't wait to go. And John, I want you to know right now, I have never eaten chicken so good in my life, in my entire life. We had played, it was playoff game the night before in Jonesboro. Well, that would have been the first year we won a state championship. No, that's the year we lost to, that was the year we lost to Lake Hamilton. So that would have been 08. It would have been November of 08. And it was 16 degrees at kickoff in Jonesboro. And, you know, Jonesboro may have a lot of stuff, but what they don't have is trees.
No, and the field sits up on top of the hill.
It does. And man, the wind was blowing. And we were doing the games back then on TV. We're doing them outside. And we're standing in the bleachers. 16 degrees, 30-mile-an-hour wind. Supposedly, Jonesboro had the number one running back in the nation. We never saw him. What I did see was Jimmy Ford and Luke Lansdale in the backfield the entire night. Yeah. And so we beat them in the semis to go next week. We know we're going to play Lake Hamilton in the state championship. So when Micah and I left that night, we were so cold. I had a Tahoe. I had the heater all the way on hot and all the way up and the windows down because you couldn't breathe if you didn't. We drive to Memphis. My brother lived in Memphis, and we're going to meet him the next morning and have breakfast at Miss Polly's Soul City Cafe. And we go in there, and my gosh, man, that food. And so every time I'm in Memphis, I go to Miss Polly's Soul City Cafe. And she has a sign up on the wall said, there was two signs I remember, love, peace, and chicken grease. And the other one says, we cook everything on the chicken except the bill, even though that's chicken still. And but man, I asked our waiter something about how they marinate. He said, you can't make that chicken you eating now. He said, we didn't make it today. He said, we made it 3 days ago. He said, we started marinating it 3 days ago. He said, they fried it today, but that chicken was made 3 days ago.
Well, they do that saltwater wash in it, I'm sure that.
Yeah, and some kind of hot sauce.
Yeah,
because there was heat all the way to the bone,
through the meat,
all the way through the meat, and but that was the first time I ever had chicken and waffles, and I saw what the hype was, and so when Jax he had some study get published, and he got to go to Hollywood to present his published study on sports athletes and the effects of caffeine, I think is what it was. But while he was out there, he went to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles while he was there. And, he may never leave Union County again in his life, but he's been to Hollywood, and he got to go to Roscoe's. That's my kid. Yeah. Let's see, guys, what do we got here? All right, yeah, here's another letter to us, Boomer. Dear Sandy and Boomer, I could use a little advice because I'm not sure if I've found happiness or if I'm just really good at convincing myself I have. I have always considered myself an A+ employee. I'm the one who gets to work early, rarely calls in sick, volunteers to train new hires, stays late when a deadline has to be met, and somehow end up organizing the office Christmas party every year because you're just so good at that kind of stuff. I've covered vacations, answered emails on weekends, and have probably said I'll take care of it more times than I can count. For the last couple of years, I've had my sights set on a big promotion. I have the experience, the performance reviews, and even had people in the company telling me it was basically mine. Then I did not get the promotion. To say I was crushed would be an understatement. I smiled, congratulated the person who got the job, went home and cried into a pint of ice cream, and immediately updated my resume. So a few months later, I was offered a position at another company. Ironically, it's identical to the promotion that I didn't get. The pay is better. My boss trusts me and doesn't micromanage me. I leave work at work. I have dinner with my parents several times a week now. I don't wake up on Sunday already dreading Monday. I actually have hobbies again, and my blood pressure probably sends me thank you cards. So why can't I shake this feeling? Part of me wonders if I'm only telling myself this is better because I need the rejection to have meant something. Am I rewriting history to protect my ego? Or did not getting that promotion accidentally lead me to exactly where I'm supposed to be? Have either of you ever looked back on something and felt like the worst thing that could happen, only to realize later it was actually one of the best. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Signed, promoted by rejection. I think you're happy.
Yeah.
It sounds to me, I mean,
yeah,
you had too many
it all lined
precise
up.
Examples of you now have dinner with your parents, you said.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's something you weren't able to do previously.
Done that Sunday dread of
Sunday dread. And then you said you actually have hobbies now.
Yeah.
The other thing is you obviously were a front runner for this promotion that you didn't get. They didn't appreciate you enough to give you that promotion. This company saw it in you without you ever having worked a day for them.
Yeah. Or sometimes people get promoted. Well, she may have not gotten promoted because she did so well at the other things that she did already.
Yeah.
You know, you've seen that in corporate world before. They're
too good. I can't promote them from that position.
Yeah,
then who's going to do that?
The ones that go up the line are not the best qualified. They just promote them up.
Look, I have a very clear example I'm not going to give of the Peter Principle. And the Peter Principle is you can promote someone to the point of inadequacy.
Yeah.
And I had that happen in my career. Twice, actually, in my career, I have been the unfortunate recipient of making my job look easy. Because I don't complain, I don't fret, I don't panic. And I have made my job look easy. And there was one time I left a job and one of the employees that I left behind called me one day and was telling me how bad things were. And he said, you know who I blame for this, Sanford? I said, who? He said, you. He said, you and your staff were out here setting new sales records, and yet you're playing golf a couple times every week. You're cooking on the barbecue circuit. You're going to these competitions. You're coaching a travel baseball team and still setting new sales records. You made your job look like just anybody could do it. So when you left, they promptly went out and hired just anybody. And he said, it's been a dumpster fire ever since. And that's
exactly what happened.
That's happened twice in my life. I've made my job look easy. And so if I ever do work for someone else again, I'm just going to complain all the time about how hard my job is. Man, this job's hard.
I can't hardly make it.
I don't know how I'm going to do this.
Yeah, well, this girl here, I say just, let go of that rejection. She's having a hard time over the rejection part.
And I understand that.
Yeah,
I do.
Just let that go.
Especially
you've got a good job.
People in the company are saying, hey, this is going to be your spot. I'm assuming there's if I have any say so, it's yours. It's going to be you. You're going to get it. And then somewhere in your mind, you begin to believe that. You begin to think that, even though, there's a process and blah, 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 but you know that you're worthy of that. And then when that promotion doesn't come, and I've been there, and they make a decision to go another direction, and especially when it turns to crap, the best thing you can do, promoted by rejection, is live your best life.
And did she give her name?
No.
So also what you have to remember, and this comes from someone who's pretty much thinks of himself most of the time.
What?
A lot of times not getting a job or getting a job isn't about you. It's about someone else that needs that the Lord's working on in a different way, that someone else needs to get promoted for a certain, maybe they got promoted so they could have supper with their parents or whatever.
I'm not sure the Lord was involved in the situation with me. I think they left him totally out of it. I don't think they asked him at all.
No, I don't think so either. But
that's all I could think of when you were reading that was she's living right.
She's living where she should.
Yeah, she's going.
But the rejection is hard to get over.
Yeah,
because especially when you say, look, I've been the one who comes in on weekends. I train the new hires. I organize the Christmas party. I answer the emails on the weekends. I did this and got there early and stayed late. Been there, done that, sis. I know. I get it. But you think, how can they not see the value in that? Because they've taken it for granted. Because you made it look easy.
Yep.
And they didn't have to, they didn't have to be there. I worked for a guy one time who was like, man, before you got here, I was working 75, 80 hours a week. And I said, yeah, now I am.
Now I am.
And he's like, I actually took a day off the other day, but it's fine if they notice it. It's when they don't,
exactly.
that it's, So let's take another break. We'll come back and we'll wrap this thing up.
Okay.
All right. We're going to be back with more of Off the Back Porch right after this.
Leadership matters, and El Dorado is moving forward. Under Mayor Paul Choate, we rebuilt streets and our wastewater plant without raising taxes. We strengthened public safety, upgraded parks, expanded internet access. New businesses are investing here. Jet service to Dallas is connecting us to what's next. Safer streets, real progress, a city working together.
I'm Paul Choate. Together we've made progress, and together we can keep making El Dorado the best it can be.
Rated the #1 course in Arkansas by Golf Week, Mystic Creek is truly a hidden gem, complemented by a modern clubhouse, complete with panoramic views. It also features a fully stocked pro shop and Mystic Grill, serving contemporary American cuisine and Southern classics. Mystic Creek promises an unforgettable experience.
Bad things happen, and of course, they never happen at the right time. Maybe it's just a little bump and cosmetic damage, or it's turned into a huge insurance claim and you just don't know where to go next. That's why so many of your neighbors and friends call on Cook's Body Shop in El Dorado. From the minor to the major, Cook's Body Shop is in your corner. Need someone to help you deal with insurance? Look to Cook's. Need advice on what to do next? Look to Cook's. Need a free estimate? Look to Cook's. Bad things are going to happen, and when they do, look to Cook's.
When it comes to your family's financial future, peace of mind matters. At Harrison Financial Management, they are right here to help you plan, grow, and protect what matters most. Whether you're planning for retirement, investing wisely, or securing your family's future, they will guide you every step of the way. Harrison Financial Management, your future, their commitment.
Welcome to Davis Farms Country Market in El Dorado, Arkansas. This is more than just a place to shop. It is a place where local farms, markets, and families can share what they do best. Inside, you'll find fresh produce, locally raised beef and pork, farm fresh eggs, jams, honey, seasonings, baked goods, grilling supplies, and plenty of Arkansas-made favorites. There's also a deli serving sandwiches, salads, gumbo, and other tasty choices. So whether you are planning supper, shopping for a gift, or searching for something delicious, stop by Davis Farms Country Market. Just be careful. You may come in for one thing and leave with 17. Davis Farms Country Market.
32 years ago, a young Robert Rushing began his life of public service joining the El Dorado Fire Department. While saving lives during the day, Robert Rushing put himself through college and law school at night, eventually opening a law practice in 2010 to protect and serve the rights of people in South Arkansas. By the way, he was still working as a fireman at the time. And after 23 years of service, Robert Rushing answered the call again and was elected as city attorney. Today, Robert Rushing still has that desire to serve. Re-elect Robert Rushing as El Dorado City Attorney.
Hey, welcome back for more of Off the Back Porch with Sandy and Boomer and our special guest, John Jameson, principal of El Dorado High School. And, Boomer, I was thinking about high school. Back in high school, I have been in a pasture late on a Friday night drinking something out of a trash can. I drank something called Panther Piss. I still don't know what that is. I think it's Everclear and Fruit Punch or something. Okay. I actually drank something called Crown Paloma, which is Crown Royal and grapefruit juice.
Okay.
Out of a gas can. I'm assuming it was a new gas can. It looked like a new gas can, but if it wasn't, that maybe explained why it was spicy.
It was spicy.
Yeah. That was unleaded.
There's a point here coming up.
I drank Boone's Farm Strawberry Hill, Mad Dog 2020, even some Night Train. Okay. I've gargled Dr. Tishner's. So there ain't no way on God's green earth I'm letting some diarrhea lettuce take me out. It's just not going to happen to me.
You're not going to eat no lettuce.
I'm not.
Yeah, how hard is that?
Yeah.
We're not going to eat lettuce.
But you know what? I've never wanted a salad bar more in my life in the last 2 weeks.
Well, it was a lot of shredded lettuce bags, I've understood.
I don't know.
But anyway,
that makes it a lot harder to wash it if it's shredded lettuce already.
We're not going to eat any lettuce for a while.
Yeah, we're going to be a while.
It's Sunday. We went into Good Times, and I ordered like normal, and salad, ranch, no tomatoes. And about that first bite of lettuce, I went,
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
I didn't think about that.
Oh, well.
I'm losing weight.
Yeah, in for a penny, in for a pound, right?
Yeah.
So, Boomer, one of my favorite things is words mean things.
Yeah.
I use that with my kids all the time. Jax and Cam, when they were
Have
little.
meaning.
Yeah, words mean things. And I would come home and Cam would be like, Dad, can you talk to Jax? He's gotten on my nerves like 1,000,000 times today. I'm like, 1,000,000? Wow. Has he had time to do anything else? Dad, you know what I mean? No, I don't know what you mean, because you used a word that's not what you meant. Yeah. What did you mean? And it's funny, when you really would make your kids say what they really meant, all of a sudden it wasn't as bad as they thought it was. Well, I mean, like 3 times. Okay. So y'all been here together today for 12 hours. And you mean to tell me in 12 hours he's gotten on your nerves 3 times? Yeah. Okay. Suck it up, Buttercup. You'll be okay. So that's why, you get to deal with Cam now. If he has an attitude, you know why. So.
I mean, it's just like your wife. You never do this. I did it last week.
Yeah, I'm sorry, never.
Yeah.
That means having not once ever done that.
Yeah.
So words mean things. So yesterday I'm having a Zoom meeting, and it's required, because as a vendor of this company, we're required to tune into these Zoom meetings, once a month. And so I'm having that Zoom meeting, and I have my microphone off. No one's going to hear me. Matter of fact, my camera was unplugged. I wasn't even on camera, but I'm just sitting there watching it. And the whole thing was about diversity. And, that's fine. Y'all have your corporate culture but I finally come to understand what this company meant by diversity. Non-white males, or non-male, non-white male. So you could be a white woman, that's diverse. You could be anything else, that's diverse. But if you were a white male,
you were non-diverse.
You're non-diverse. And they're trying to tell us that if we want to do business with them, we have to have a level of diversity, a diversity plan. And I'm thinking to myself, not going to work. I have 3 employees, and 2 of them are white males. Don't know how I'm going to fit into that. And so then as they go along, there's a guy, he was from Texas, you could tell. And hold on a minute. He breaks in. Hold on just a second. Are you trying to tell me how to run my company? And they were like, well, if you want to do business with us, he said, I seem to remember y'all coming to me. I didn't send a salesperson to y'all. He said, I'm not going to change anything about my company, and I'm not going to disclose anything about my company to you. So either do business with me or don't. And he logged out.
Wow.
And I was like, good for him.
Wow.
And so I sat and watched the rest of it. And of course, now his actions gave some other people some bravery, and they started doing the same thing. They're like, our culture is ours. And if you want to know it, come to work for us. Otherwise, we don't care. And so by the end of it, this person who's doing the presentation, you can tell someone in another office is watching, because now they've come in to the room and now they're explaining. They're
mansplaining.
Yeah,
Was it a white guy?
It was a white guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a white guy comes into the room,
takes over about diversity,
takes over for this female who's been doing it, and
well, let me tell you what she's trying to say.
And he really did. And I'm like, y'all can talk about your culture all you want, but I wish I had been recording this.
Yes,
because this would go viral.
It would
in just a heartbeat. Because she wasn't soft spoken, but she was very genteel,
demure,
and she's but she was very matter of fact, and this is what we expect from our vendor partners, and blah 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 blah. And I'm sure there's companies out there that probably do millions and millions, if not tens of millions of dollars a year with this company. I'm not one of those. Okay, yeah. I mean, this company spends like maybe $10,000 a year with me. That's a lot of money when you're me. When you have none, $10,000 is a whole lot, right? But I mean, just. And so when it got a little heated, and you could see the panic coming on her face, well, then a white man comes in the room to take over. And I'm like, y'all can say all you want to, but your actions have just shown me everything I needed to know. Like I said, I just wished I had recorded it.
Isn't that something?
I bet you someone did. I bet you in the next week or 2, we're going to see a TikTok's going to pop up.
That needs to.
I told the staff Monday afternoon, just assume you're always being recorded.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I know
that's the rule in radio or broadcast.
I know a teacher in Arkansas that was secretly recorded by a student, and what he said was not appropriate, but it was taken way out of context and cost him his job. And yeah, that's not cool. Not cool at all. Just finished the book 41.
Yeah.
It's by George W. Bush about his dad. And he said that one of the reasons he wrote the book was there's only been one other father-son pair of presidents, and that was John Adams.
Talk to him like he's talking, though. Use his voice.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've done a George W. So I decided to do this memoir. Memoir, Merca. I got in trouble on radio one time because I did a fake George W. Bush press conference on the radio, and it's like, Merca, this job's hard. It's do you want to quell all the rumors that we no longer own the Hoover Dam? It was actually in the pot, but then I caught a king on the river, and so we still got it. And yes, it is true that from 1:11 till about 1:19 last night, our official language was Guatemalanese, and it was just some stupid stuff about George W. Bush, and I got called to corporate, and
we don't do those kind of things here.
Mr. Nolan said, Sandy, he said, I know you worked for George Bush, and I know you consider him a friend. And honestly, if he heard that, he would probably just roll over to his side laughing. He said, but we're in a war. Can we just not make fun of the commander in chief while we're in a war? And I was like,
gotcha.
Whatever you say, Bill. You 100%, whatever you say. But
there's your diversity.
Of course, I did get in trouble one time because there was a news story that came out that the Democrats in Arkansas were having trouble raising money. And so I did a thing of Bill Clinton sings all your favorite songs, and it was like, trying to love two women is like a ball and chain. And I mean, I did all these cheating songs and recorded it and played it on the morning show. And that
didn't go well either.
No, I had that had to die a fiery death.
It's funny.
It was funny. It was hilariously funny. But yeah.
But people that I say people, the DEI thing, and we need diversity everywhere, but on merit. Not on just because it's a non-white person, non-white guy.
And I think it's the pendulum swings too far the other way. There was a time, especially with your generation,
yes,
where someone would come up for promotion and they'd be like, yeah, but have you not noticed he's black?
Yeah.
And I didn't think about that. What about so-and-so? What about Hernandez? Hernandez? Okay. Yeah, right. And they're like, well, I guess we'll just promote the white guy. I said, man, it's a shame there was nobody qualified.
Yeah. And it was like that.
It was like that. But I think the pendulum swings too far the other way when Donald Trump gets shot in the ear in Pennsylvania, and we have a Secret Service agent who's too fat to pull her pistol out.
Yeah.
I mean, her belly is over the top of her. I don't body shame. But there are certain jobs that you shouldn't do if you're not physically fit. And that's, I don't know, protecting the leader of the free world kind of seems to me one of those that you would want the best of the best.
Best of the best. And even in the, you expect that scenario that, like you just did, like the 60s.
Yeah.
This was late 70s. I'm in corporate America in a high rise in Oklahoma City. And, I'm out of my league. It's the president of the company and a couple of VPs. And there was some coffee and some drinks and some
scotch and
stuff
cigars
around the table past, and there was a women VP and so the president got up and asked her to clean up everything. And she's a VP, of an oil company. And she balked, and I don't blame her.
I don't either.
He goes, "Oh, I'm sorry." He apologized quickly. He said, "I'll do it." She goes, "Well, that's good because I'm dang sure not."
It's like
I said, let me get out of here.
We used to have staff meetings. I would tell y'all the last thing I would say at every staff meeting is, y'all don't let Amy and Sharon clean this room.
Yeah.
Because that's who always ended up cleaning up after our staff meeting, especially if we ate. It would be Sharon and Amy, and I'm just like, no, that's not acceptable to me. Mm-hmm. These are grown men. They can pick up behind themselves. you know. But yes, that kind of stuff went on way too much, way too often.
Have you been around kids that are fighting over one toy, and the one that has the toy, the other one that wants the toy, what do they say about that kid when they're complaining to the adult?
He's not sharing.
He's not sharing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what kind of DEI reminds me of. It's you have it and I want it. That doesn't mean I deserve it, but you need to share it.
Yeah,
it's not that you deserve to have it.
The answer, as almost always, is somewhere back towards the middle.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. Well, let him play with it for a while, and then we'll let you play with it for a while.
Yeah,
you just described my every day.
A day in the life of the high school principal. Yeah.
Well, and I was more referring to my 2-year-old and 4-year-old.
Your kids. Yeah.
So I just finished the book 41, and you know, it's not news to anyone that I felt, having known George W. Bush since the early 90s and worked for him twice. I never really thought he was a conservative. It just politically, I never thought, man, here's a bastion of conservatism right here. You know, I never thought that. And I won't say why. I mean, there's some non-disclosure agreements that I've signed in the past. I can't say, but I never thought that. But man, the last 2 years of his presidency, I was like, I can't watch. I can't watch this. It was just like he had abandoned every conservative principle he ever pretended to have or had. And that last 2 years was just horrible. And so in this book, he's explaining how when some of these things happened, especially those last 2 years of his presidency, he reached out to his dad. What do I do here? You know, this job's hard. You know, it's hard. And he talked about his dad would never tell him what to do. He would just say, well, tell me what you're thinking when you say this. And so he'd say, okay. And tell me when the people who want the opposite of that, what is it they're thinking? And he'd tell him, he'd say, I think if you fell between the two of those, you'd probably make the right decision, you know? And it gave some insight into those, to me, which was the most disappointing 2 years of a presidency, those last two of George W. Bush. And it gave some insight into that. So I still don't agree, but I got where he was coming from.
Yeah, you get a vision, better vision.
And certainly he was the one having to deal with the situation, not me. He's the one that had a stock market shut down and a real estate bubble burst. Although, again, how did we not know? How did we not know that was coming? Because, like I said,
everybody can have a house.
Yeah. I mean, but especially, you know, there's tons of examples of it, but the one that sticks out in my mind was there's a guy who picks strawberries for like 3 months a year, makes $14,000, and a bank gives him a loan on a $400,000 house. There is never a mathematics scenario where that works. So, and you know, we used to watch the Home Network or whatever it was that, you know, Property Hunters or something like that.
House Hunters.
Yeah. And had, you know, you'd meet the couple at the very beginning, and you know, and they're hipsters, and she's a school teacher, so she's not making any money. And then there's the him, and he sharpens pencils and colors erasers red, you know, or whatever. And our budget is $1.75 million. Like, what? How? You know, and so then they end up buying a home for 1.5 million and then sink another 300,000 in it, renovating. I'm like, how? You know, there was a real estate bubble. Okay, it was going to burst, and it did. But he was the one who was having to deal with that. I wasn't. So he made the decisions he thought was right. But one of the best parts of the book was he was talking about his mom and dad and their classic love story. You know, and his mom and dad had been talking about getting married, and then he went into World War II as a naval aviator, as a naval pilot, and he's dropping bombs on this island. They're trying to make their way to Japan. Eventually the U.S. wanted a ground war in Japan, and they thought if we can have a ground war there, we won't have to worry about getting bombed here. And they're working their way in, and well, his plane gets shot. And, he's going down, and he jumps out of the plane. Well, he hits his head on the way out of the plane, and his parachute rips, and so he basically free falls into the water, and but somehow survives. He's the only person on his plane who survived, and he's just floating in the water. And he don't know what he's going to do. He's pretty sure that those gunners on the island who shot his plane are going to spot him, and they're going to shoot him and kill him in the water. And about then, a plane dives down real close to the water, and they shove a life raft out, a blown, fully inflated life raft out of the door of the plane. And it lands beside him, and he gets up in it, and all he can do is paddle with his hands. But he's like, if they couldn't see me before, they'll be able to see me now in this yellow life raft.
Orange go.
And so he talked about how the planes started they going right at these guns. And I mean, it's like 7 or 8 planes at one time, just, and none of those planes got shot down, and they were able to save him. And years later, when Bush 41 was president, he went back to Japan for something, and he met one of the gunners from that island.
Oh my.
And that gunner was like, I remember very well. He said, the reason America won that war, he said, because y'all would do something the Japanese would never do. Y'all put every plane in the sky in charge of keeping you in that life raft safe. He said, Japan would never do that. We would just be like, he died for a cause. And he said, that's why y'all won the war. He said, y'all were willing to do what no one else was willing to do. And you're like, wow.
No man left behind.
No man left behind. And so he's paddling in that boat with his hands, right? And he's like, he says, he prayed and said, Lord, if I make it out of this alive, I'm asking Barbara to marry me. And sure enough, he got out. He got picked up by a submarine, a U.S. submarine, spent a month on that submarine. And then they finally get him back to this place and this place. And it was like 3 months before he was able to get back to his ship. And he gets back to his ship, and it's like 2 days away from going on 1 month leave. So he got back just in time. And he was on the USS San Jacinto, and they landed up near Boston somewhere. And he gets on a bus and goes to New York, where Barbara was from. And he's going to tell her, we're getting married. And so he gets off the bus, and he walks to her house and walks up to the door and knocks on the door. She comes to the door, and he said, I don't know what you're doing tomorrow, but I'm getting married, and I want it to be to you. And so they got married. Story. And they were married for 70 something years. Yeah. And so George W. Bush asked his dad one day, this was before he had met Laura. He's like, Dad, what's the secret to a great relationship? And his dad said, son, you've asked the right man. He said, the most important thing is, on day one, you need to realize she's right. And then when you wake up on day 2, remind yourself she's right. And then by day 3, just realize you're wrong.
Yeah, because she's right.
You are wrong. Yeah. And he said, that will lead to the happiest marriage you'll ever have. But then he said, all joking aside, that the secret, and this was according to Barbara Bush, she said the secret was they were both willing to go 3/4 of the way. And, I'll go beyond halfway if you're going to meet me. Mm-hmm. And he talked about how, his dad was a Northeast blue blood. I mean, his family had money. George H.W. Bush's dad served in the Senate, senator from Connecticut. His family had money since, back when you could still own people and stuff,
So they weren't always from Texas.
No. Yeah. He grew up in Kennebunkport, Maine.
Yeah.
And so when he graduated from Yale, then went into the service, got out, then went to Harvard Business School and got out. Then I think he went to Oxford after that and got out. And he had his pick of any job in America. And he had met a guy who had gone to Midland, Texas, and was buying oil leases, and was like, George, it's real money. It's real money. And you're not sitting in an office now. You're going to have to work. And George H.W. Bush, who had been captain of the Yale baseball team, loved being outdoors, said, well, that sounds great to me. Sight unseen, he gets Barbara and their brand new baby, George W. Bush, and they moved to Midland, Texas. Never having seen the place. And he was he said, as my dad recounts, he was like, where are all the trees? And they said, oh, you got to drive about 300 miles east before you'll see one. you know? So, but
the mesquites out there, those are our trees.
It was a really good insight into his dad. His dad said, his dad developed a fantastic friendship with Bill Clinton later in life. And he said, Bill Clinton beat me in 1992. And he said, I've never held an ill towards him whatsoever. Even the whole, it's the economy, stupid. And he said, that's just part of the game. But Ross Perot, I'll never talk to again. And there was a time where Ross Perot had tried to get George H.W. Bush to come in with him as a partner and wanted to start a company and had paperwork already drawn up. I can't remember what the name of it was, but had already had paperwork drawn up. They were going to be 50-50 partners in an energy company. And George H.W. Bush said he didn't trust Ross Perot. And then ends up Ross Perot runs against him.
Yeah, and screws that up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I still think to this day that if Ross Perot hadn't run, you probably would have seen another George H.W. Bush presidency.
Yep.
So, but it was a great book. Now I'm listening to a book, and Boomer, I'm going to tell you the name of it, and you tell me who you think wrote it. Let's see, I wrote it down. How to Test Negative for Stupid and Why Washington Never Will. How to Test Negative for Stupid and Why Washington never will.
Tucker Carlson.
John Kennedy, U.S. Senator from Louisiana. And it has some great quips in it, too. Yeah. He said, he starts off talking about the things he said that he shouldn't have said. And he's like, look, I got in trouble for saying it. He said he got fully censured by the Senate one time. Mm-hmm. He said because he was on CNN and he said when the vice president's IQ gets up to 75, she should sell. And he said, and I shouldn't have said that. He said, the thing of it is, he said, I like Kamala. He said, I don't know why I said that. He said, I was just trying to be funny. And evidently it didn't come off that way. You know?
Not on CNN.
Yeah.
Because nothing's funny over
Nothing's
there.
all funny over
Not
there.
even.
Yeah. So, but he's talked a lot about who he likes dealing with in the Senate. He doesn't say that he didn't like dealing with Lindsey Graham, but he doesn't have anything good to say about Lindsey Graham. And
well, a lot of people thought Lindsey was a warmonger. And
well, he says in the book, he said, name if you want to keep Lindsey Graham busy for 3 days, tell him to find a country on the map he wouldn't bomb. And
that's Kennedy.
Of course, the other thing that they say about Lindsey Graham,
that he's homosexual.
Yeah, and
Martha said, I said I never got that.
I've heard that. I've heard that since, of course. Now I was working with senators back in the 90s, and Congressman Dick Armey and some of them. I remember when Ted Cruz was Dick Armey's boy. He'd send Ted to go get stuff. He was his gopher. But that was a rumor way back when. But now evidently there's been a male prostitute who's come out in the last few days. And,
oh, really?
And is saying some stuff. And I don't know how true it is. And,
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
Today, how many times do you think a certain person said, I'm going to plead the fifth?
Well, let me say this. This morning, I called Grant.
Yeah.
And we're talking as I'm driving down the highway. And he says, hang on just a second. Excuse me. And then I hear him like, yeah, and the exit lane at exit 184 is closed, and that's a look at your traffic. And he's like, okay, sorry. He said, I got to do traffic during the news. And I was like, oh, yeah. And he said, hang on 1 second. And I'm thinking, okay, he's got to come back and do something else traffic. And he's like, Shh. I hear, Shh. And I was like, what was that? He said, oh, I'm marking down every time Anthony Fauci pleads the fifth. And he said, we're up to 51.
And they started clowning him. They said, what's the street out in front of the Senate? Or what color tie do I have on today?
Upon advice from counsel, I respectfully refuse to answer based on my Fifth Amendment right.
Fifth Amendment right.
121
is what I heard.
121 times. And
now, if you're pleading the fifth, that means you did it, doesn't it?
No, it does not.
Yes, it does.
It most certainly does not.
Well, he lied.
Oh, I have very little doubt.
Well, they changed the definition of gain of function. So it depends on what the meaning of is. So they changed the definition so that Wuhan wouldn't be gain of function.
Here's the thing is, and I told you this, we read a statistic, the U.S. Defense Attorneys Association, or the American Defense Attorneys Association, and the U.S. Department of Justice Bureau of Prisons did a joint study, like 53,000 people in jail, in prisons. They went and looked at their file. Do you want to take a guess at how many of them would not be in prison had they just exercised their right to remain silent? 85%.
My goodness.
85% would not be in jail.
All you got
what were the year frames in that?
I don't remember.
Because that's the problem in today's world. People don't know how to remain silent.
That's exactly right. It's, if they would just say, I'm not talking without an attorney, and just stop talking.
We live our life on Reels and TikToks, and and if you watch one, you start getting them all. And I get all the cops stopping people on the side of the road, and it's not from the cop standpoint. It's always where you heading? One guy goes, "Where you been?" He goes, "Where you coming from? That direction."
Yeah,
where are you going?
I'm not like that. Where you been? Out of mother-in-law's mowing.
Yeah, no, I'm going to tell a cop.
Where you headed? Home.
I'm also not doing anything that's going to get me in trouble.
Yeah. Or to jail, depending on how this stop goes. I could be headed either one. But, we tell people all the time, never, ever, 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 under any circumstance, should you take the field sobriety tests. They're not designed for you to pass. I don't care what they'll say. And cops will, in Texas, this became a real thing.
They can lie to you.
The troopers in Texas would say, "Oh, no, this weekend, it's a big push from the governor for DWIs. You have to take the tests." No, you never have to.
And you're going to get arrested.
You're going to go to jail. Yes, you are going to go to jail. But let me say this. Suspended license is a lot less than a revoked license. And
a DWI.
And never under any circumstance should you blow in that machine. I don't care. If you haven't had a drink since 1977, I still wouldn't blow. And
because when you started telling me gum or mouthwash or
sugarless gum, toothpaste, it doesn't always, but it can register as
a guy
alcohol.
that ate potato chips and it turned into alcohol.
That guy, he had a gut flora problem, and when I was reading that story to my wife, she picked it up like that. She's like, "He's got a gut flora issue," and I'm like, "Can you let me finish?" Being married to a dang nurse,
smart.
I understand.
Yeah, I know you do.
I understand.
And anyways, so it was like this guy was he was an athletic director at a high school, and he had stopped his golf team and golf coach. They were stopping at this place to eat, and he was going to go in. He's going to pay for it, and he went ahead and got him a hot dog and some French fries, and he ate with them. He leaves, and he's on the phone with a school board member who was looking into a bullying situation that they had within the athletic department. And they're going, this school board, well, while he's on the phone with this member, he passes a cop, and a cop pulls him over for having his phone to his ear. Understandable. Shouldn't have done that. And that's what this guy said. And then the cop's like, "I smell alcohol." And he's like, "Dude, I just fed my golf team. I'm a high school athletic director. There's no alcohol." And it was like, "When was the last time you had a drink?" He said, "Like 8 years ago." And he's like, "No, I can smell it." Do field sobriety test. He does them, fails them. They take him in. He blows like a 0.19. And he's like, "There's no way." Well, he gets arrested for DWI. The school district fires him. People start coming forward at his hearing with the school district and the school board saying, "Well, he always smells like he's drinking. He always smells of alcohol." And they're like, he carries that cup around. We don't know what's in that cup. And these are people who are supposed to be his friends. His wife starts divorce proceedings. You're just a liar. Why can't you just admit you need help? And his own parents call him a worthless drunk. His in-laws are trying to get his wife to move out. His friends abandon him. Just as bad as it can get. And there was some doctor in Tampa, St. Pete area heard about it and was like, told his receptionist, "Get that guy in this room. Get him here." And so she called him and got him. He came in, and the doctor gave him the same test you give to pregnant women to check if their blood glucose, how they're doing. And
he was pregnant?
No, surprisingly. But they did a breath test before he started the test, zeros, right? 30 minutes after the test, 0.09. So he's already over the legal limit. Within 1 hour, he was 0.21, almost 3 times the legal limit, and had not had a drop. His flora in his gut was producing alcohol. And my thing was, some guys have all the luck.
Yeah, don't have to pay for it.
All you got to do is eat a bag of Funyuns, and next thing you know, Daddy's taking a nap now, baby. He had a DWI earlier in life, the 8 years earlier. And he said, then I had 1 beer.
So did he get, at the end of the story, did he get all that set aside? We didn't hear that part of the story.
No. Didn't get his job back.
Well, I mean, the DWI.
But no, the DWIs are, because what the courts told him was, you are still responsible for you. The fact that you didn't realize you have this condition does not change the fact you still are responsible for you. And
I just had to say, well, here's what I'm responsibly telling you.
Yeah, and that's called contempt, and they will send you to jail for that.
Yeah, well, by God, I was going all the way for DWI.
So
lost my wife and my kids and my job.
His
wife
said the only reason she didn't leave him was she got to thinking one day, now hang on. If he's drinking every day at the school and he always smells like alcohol, she said, now I always smelled it. She said, but that's just how he smells. And she said, it wasn't like it was an odor like he reeked. She said, but I smelled it, but I knew he didn't drink because 8 years earlier he had gotten a DWI after having 1 beer at a barbecue, and he blew way over the limit and was like, I just won't ever drink again. And so he quit drinking for 8 years, and he still got a DWI, And so his wife said he can't do that without hiding alcohol somewhere. And so she made it her mission, man. She went through his shop, went through the storage building, went through the shed, went to their offsite storage facility and went through it, went through his truck, looked under every bed, every crevice, got in parts of the attic, she'd never crawled into before. She's like pulling vents off of the air conditioning unit and reading her hand. She said, there's no alcohol anywhere. Now, you can't have that kind of a problem
and not be
not have some hid out somewhere. I was telling Boomer, we've all had uncles or grandparents who, oh no, I don't drink, but out there in that shed next to the tractor, might be a bottle of Old Crow out there or something, just a little nip. But she said, I searched everything that you could search, and there's no alcohol anywhere in this house. And she was like, something is wrong here. And that's when this doctor had called. And so it was like, holy cow. But how do you repair that relationship with your in-laws and your own parents?
Mm-hmm.
When they're like, he's just a worthless drunk.
Yeah. Well, I think it was their responsibility to repair with him.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. And then all those supposedly friends that you had at work who couldn't wait to testify against you.
Yeah, let them go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's... Boomer, do you know who Brian Imasta is? Well, he's the singer El Valiente.
Don't know that either.
Well, that means the brave one.
I still don't know.
Yeah. El Valiente is a quadriplegic and is confined to a wheelchair. He's been charged with 2 counts of battery on law enforcement officer. And look, I get it. If he committed battery, you got to charge him. But I mean, come on,
he's quadriplegic.
A quadriplegic. And they say that what happened is he hit them with his wheelchair. You mean you couldn't just hey, El Valiente, don't, hey,
El Stapo.
Yeah, something. I mean, so I saw a news report of all this. I don't know how dude does anything.
He's bad quadriplegic.
Yes.
He's drawn up.
Yes.
Little bitty.
Yes. Yes.
And he's got a stick.
And I'm like, I mean, how? But the news report I saw, they released the body cam footage from the officers, and sure enough,
dude tried to hit him with
he does hit him with the wheelchair, and then says, "I hit you. Now what?"
Oh, okay. Well,
so my thing is,
once again, if you'd have just been quiet,
yes.
If you'd have said, "So sorry,"
yeah. my thing is, you know, I know it's not going to be a good look, but a baton across the head might have stopped some of that.
Fandy.
I know it's not a good look. I just said that, Boomer. I mean, you know, hitting the quadriplegic guy, but he is hitting you with this, you know, hover round thing that he's on. And so I'm just like,
Just reach over and hit
turn it off. Yeah, I mean, it ain't like he's going to reach over and stop you. I know.
Lord forgive us.
Lord, I'm sorry for that, and pray for the pygmies.
Yeah, down there in New Guinea.
In New Guinea, yeah.
Sorry, Lord.
Dear Sandy and Boomer, my husband got into golf 4 years ago. My apologies.
You poor thing.
He's always been athletic and loves sports. He played for 11 years on a co-ed softball team. He played on a wood bat adult baseball team. He played for 6 years on an over 35 baseball team. But he said he didn't want to do all that traveling anymore and simply can't watch his abilities decrease because of his age. He's 46 and has been playing golf since he was 41. He has begged me time and time again to go to the golf course with him. Well, now that our children are old enough to drive themselves places, I love being able to go to spend time with him. It's nice. But I watch him play, and while I know nothing about golf, I can tell he's not very good. Listen to last weekend, I'm with him. He shot an 89 and was celebrating. Even his buddies in the clubhouse were congratulating him. One guy bought us a round of beers. Is that really that good? I mean, if he's happy, I'm happy for him. He said it was his first time to break into the 80s. I know y'all are golfers. Please help me understand. Thanks, and I love your show. Ella in Ruston.
Yeah, if he's a new golfer, 80. Hey, listen, par is what the pros are expected to do.
That, you know,
that's par.
So Ella, let me start off by saying this, and I wrote this down so I wouldn't forget it. The first thing you have to understand is golf is not a sport. It is an abusive relationship.
Yeah, it is.
It tells you that you're getting better, then embarrasses you and humbles you in front of strangers. It takes your money, your spare time, and your self-esteem. And every time you try to leave, it gives you that one perfect shot and whispers, baby, don't give up on me. I can change.
Yeah, you could come back.
So, secondly, if he's been playing for 4 years and he's shooting 89,
that's good.
That's pretty good.
Now, if he's playing it down, he's not using mulligans.
I don't. Yeah, she didn't say all that.
Maybe, yeah. Because you're not. You know, if you, you're just not being true to yourself. And we've all done that. We're just trying to.
Yeah, sometimes you're out there playing for fun, but if you really want to know how your game is,
play it down.
No mulligans.
Yeah, no second shots. Only if you need to hit a provisional, right? Because you're OB or whatever.
And you have to count that correctly. You know. But, you know, most of the time we're playing for fun, we're playing to relax. Yeah. But there's a couple times a year where I go out and I play it down.
If it's on a route, we got to figure it out.
You know, I go by whatever the course rules are. So if it's a club length or the grip length, whatever they are, I'll do that. Yeah, if he's shooting 89.
That's unplayable lie. Unplayable lie.
If he's shooting 89 after 4 years, that's pretty good. Now, he's not going to be a pro. He's not going to turn pro.
Yeah.
But 89 is pretty salty. Now, don't be surprised if the next time y'all go out together, he shoots a 95.
Or a 122.
Yes, it could very well happen. Yeah. But he will consistently get better, and he'll shoot in the 80s more and more.
Yeah.
And eventually could get to the 70s. I mean, it took me 3 years to get to the 80s, and it took me about 10 years to get to the 70s.
I've never gotten out of the 80s. Of course, I quit a long time ago.
You did.
But I never got out of the 80s.
But Ella, I do want to remind you of this. Every time he gets a new lowest score, the rules of golf, as governed by the United States Golf Association, in Rule 4.3.1-C, maintaining the integrity of the game is the responsibility of each golfer. Increasing your competitive edge by keeping the same clubs once you've set a new personal low score record would be unfair to other golfers. Therefore, it is required that every new low score should be followed by the purchase of no less than one new club to replace one in your current set. This rule is used to help you adjust to new clubs and challenge yourself to be a better golfer. Thus saith the Golf Rules Committee. So those are the rules, Ella. So if he has a new personal low, he is required by golf to go buy at least one new club. Maybe it's a driver this time, a new putter. Boomer, it's required. You can look it up, Rule 4.1.3-C. And it's in the USGA, the U.S. Golf Association.
Ella sounds like Morgan Jameson, and usually when I go play softball, she tells me don't embarrass her.
Yeah.
She's a realist.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Let's just not embarrass ourselves tonight, honey.
Yeah.
Let's do the best we can.
Yeah.
You don't embarrass me. Is
Me.
really what
That's
she's
what
saying.
that's what that means. Yeah.
Yeah. But Ella, he is required, and I don't remember what the time limit is on that, but it's pretty quick.
Pretty quick, yes.
Yeah, they don't give a lot of grace on that.
Within a month,
Yeah,
probably.
30 days, I think, something like that. So he needs a new 3-wood or something.
A minimum of a putter, right?
Yeah, putter.
Yeah.
I mean, he's required at least one club, and there may be the day he comes home and he changed all of them.
And that's
part of the rules.
That's within his scope of.
Yeah, that's just part of the rules. Because otherwise, he gets too good with them same old clubs.
Yeah.
And he's not challenging himself and being unfair to others.
So
and
when
we wouldn't want that to happen.
When Martha and I got married, obviously she hadn't watched a lot of golf before, so we start watching golf, and she sees them. He won $2.7 million this weekend, and she says, "Troy, you need to. Won't you play golf? Won't you make some money playing golf?" I said, "Well, Martha, first thing, you probably, in order to be on the tour." I said, you've got to already proven yourself on some of the lower tours. And first thing you'd have to be is the best in your state, at least, or one of the top players in your state. I said, I'm not even the best golfer on my block.
That's right. I'm not the best golfer on my street.
So yeah.
Greg Withrow.
Yeah, I can't do that.
You got to be the best golfer on your street. And then you got to win your club championship.
Yeah.
And then, maybe you
some
can
area stuff or some little tour, something.
But
to get your card, it's not just the easiest thing to do.
No, it's not.
And then you got to win when you get.
Yeah, you got to win. And those guys, their training regimens. Maybe back in the day, you could John Daly it. You could show up drunk with strippers on each arm and smoke a pack of Marlboros while you played, and it was fine. But
he's a different breed.
He is, isn't he? Love John. But now these guys are getting up and eating a grapefruit with some Splenda, and instead of washing down a chicken fried steak with 3 cold beers before they go to the course, and but this training regimen these guys are on, it's for real.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of those guys, there's baseball players, professional baseball players who say, I can't do the workout that these golfers do because they just, you have to get strong, but you have to stay flexible.
But also it's the mental aspect of the game.
Yes.
Because
the wheels can fall off quick.
I mean, you play in just a little Sunday afternoon game and you got to make a 5-foot putt to win for your team. And there's 10 people from other teams at the edge of the putting green. Psh, the pressure on just that, on a little friendly game. Yeah. Just imagine the pressure they go through.
And that's
unimaginable.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about a $6 bet.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a guy you and I know here in town. He and some other guys, and they're good golfers. They're not like Boomer and me. These guys really, they're playing and they're pushing every hole. And they get to the 18th hole and it's about to be dark. And dude just has to sink like a 4-foot putt and it's going to be $900 because they've been pushing this bet. $900. He misses the putt. He walks over to his bag with his putter in his hand and just starts waylaying the daylights out of his bag. And he goes to shove the putter in the bag and he misses it. And he doesn't realize that the head flew off that putter. Now it's just this steel sticking out and it goes into his thigh and into his femoral artery. And he falls over on the ground and they run over there and one of them's about to pull it out and he's like, no. They throw him on a golf cart, take off for the hospital. Another guy comes flying up. He's got his truck and they grab him, take him to the hospital. And I mean,
shoved his putter in his leg,
a 3-foot putt. And he's like, not only did it cost me $900 on the putt, but like $9,600 in surgery and x-rays, when they took him to the ER.
And forever laughed at by all the golfers in town.
Listen, there'll be some things I'll forget. That won't be one of them. But I've told you this before. A few months ago, I go out to El Dorado Golf and Country Club, played in the Sunday game, shot a 77. I'm man, I'm happy. I'm happy with an 87, but shot a 77. It was just, I was on that day. The next day, went to Mystic and had to sink an 18-foot putt to shoot a 99. And
that was a Mystic.
And that's the whole thing. Different courses,
different slope. Yeah.
And man, I played at Hardscrabble in Fort Smith one time. Beautiful course. But there's a reason that the Nike Tour used to go through there. That's a hard course. There's not a level piece of ground in Fort Smith, first of all.
Yeah.
But there sure isn't on that golf course. And, like at Mystic, for example, number 1 rated golf course in Arkansas, those greens, they're beyond fast. Those greens are impossible. And you talk about no level spots. There's none. You
can hit the green and roll off.
Roll off, yes. Jackson and I, we played in the Service League tournament. It's a 2-man scramble. And I expect we're going to go out there and shoot high 70s, low 80s maybe. Played the absolute worst golf either one of us had played in 20 years. And we shot like a 92. Well, Gage Parker, who's a very good golfer, says, what happened? He said, I know y'all's game. He said, y'all aren't 92 golfers in a scramble. And I was like, Gage, if we were inside 150, we couldn't land on the green. We couldn't stay on the green. Now, if we were 220 out, we could roll one up to the green. But from 150 in, we couldn't find a green. And he's like, I know who I'm buying in the Calcutta. He said, y'all are going to play much better golf tomorrow. And sure enough, the next day we went out and shot like an 82. And that was, we left probably 5 or 6 birdies sitting out there on the course. So we could have played even better than that. But that's just golf, man.
I got a friend of mine that golfs. Now, like I told you earlier, I'm awful. Throw me a ball all day, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Put it on a tee? Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah, exactly.
But a friend of mine, they play at Pine Hills a lot, and Gage Parker is his kryptonite when it comes to the club championship.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah.
But like the other night, we had to get together, and he walked up and popped a check out, and it was like $100. And his wife's like, "Oh, you won tonight?" And he's like, "Yeah." He looked at us. He's like, $200 entry fee for the team.
Yeah. Look, that's the past. Yeah. We don't need to know about the past. Yeah. Let's just talk about the future. So, Boomer, we get it all the time about what's so great about Gen X. Well, you just had to be there. Chances are most of us don't remember a lot of it. But I saw this and it said, growing up Gen X is like being on the television show Survivor, but without all the cheating. And we didn't know anyone who was gay. But we lived our entire lives without seatbelts, baby car seats. And did you ever know anyone who took a swimming lesson? And I thought about that for a minute. I don't know one soul. I cannot think of one person who ever took swimming lessons when I was growing up.
Did they all from there?
In Houston?
I thought you were in Center.
There was every apartment complex and neighborhood had a pool.
I know in Houston. I didn't mean Houston.
But I still don't know anyone who ever took swimming lessons.
Well, I
didn't even know that was a thing.
They did when I was a kid.
Really?
A lot of people took swimming lessons.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
And it may have just been happening around me, and I just didn't notice, didn't realize it and recognize it. But
you're right for the most part. Yeah.
No seatbelts.
No seatbelts.
Matter of fact, I remember when Daddy would buy a new car or a new truck, the first thing he would do is he'd take that buckle that comes up from the side and shove it down between the seats. Get rid of that thing. And no car seats. I remember laying my head in Daddy's lap as a little bitty kid, 3 and 4 years old, because the knobs from the steering wheel would rub across my head, and I would chuckle. But that's how I rode all the time. And, laid down in the seat with my head in Daddy's lap. And
well, y'all made it.
We did.
Yep.
Still not sure how.
Yep.
Because there was no video evidence.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
Well, back then we weeded out a lot of them on the monkey bars.
Yeah, that was the other thing is there was a lot of natural selection.
Yeah.
We all knew someone who stuck a fork in an electrical outlet. Mm-hmm. When they quit showing playground, say, "Where's little Timmy?"
Oh, a kid in our school did it.
He stuck a fork in an electrical outlet, and he can't walk anymore, or whatever.
Yeah.
And like I said, monkey lawn darts.
Yeah, Big thing.
Them jarts? Yeah.
Bag of glass.
Yeah. Yo, kid, bag of glass.
Bag of glass.
Yeah. Or that one, they started putting watches on necklaces in the 80s. And then there was one that you could cinch it up tight. Now, how much sense did that make? I mean, even in the 80s, we were like, excuse me, ma'am, that's not a good idea.
Or how about the clacker with the two little balls?
Oh yeah, let's take
head.
2 glass balls and let them start hitting each other at about 170 miles an hour right in front of our face.
Or the one you'd put on your ankle to swing it around and
oh my gosh,
and chip yourself. Now
listen, I still have ankle pain just when you said that just then. My foot drew up.
What do they call it? Is it
skipperoo?
No, but there's a term for when you feel pain when somebody says residual, like it's like
yes,
yeah,
like that phantom limb pain. Right?
Skateboards when I started just had like little metal wheels on, and as soon as you hit a little pebble, they would launch you. And then roller skates, they made some that actually fit onto your shoes.
Yes,
and had a strap over
the top,
and the shank of it would move in and out, so you could adjust it for the size of your foot. And those were very dangerous too. But then we also had what we called a scooter, and those usually consisted of a 2x4 with a 2x4 nailed on it, and a 2x2 up here, and those skates that I just described. You pulled them apart and nailed them on that, and you'd ride that until you hit a rock, and it'd throw you forward, knock your teeth out.
Yes.
Yeah. So helmets weren't a thing.
Oh, listen, the only people that wore helmets back then were special kids.
Yeah. If you were a waterhead baby or something.
But you came up through the 3-wheeler stage.
Yes.
They had cut those out before I got.
And let me just tell you,
because there was a lot of flipping going on with those.
Yeah, there was very little as fun as 3-wheelers. Matter of fact, the first ATV I ever bought on my own was a Honda 300.
Not 300.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And 2-stroke Honda 3-wheeler.
Remember the first
fast.
The first 4-wheeler that I rode was on a rig out in West Texas that the company man had bought, and that he just used to ride around and have fun out there. I said, God, that's going to be great. And it was, because most of those little 3-wheelers were little 90s, and they would flip easy but not much power.
Yeah. Mine was a Honda 300 2-stroke.
And now you can buy them
red, white, and
70.
Yeah. And the first 4-wheeler I bought was a Yamaha Banshee, another 2-stroke.
Oh, yeah.
And I got clocked by a state trooper one time doing 106.
God. On the highway.
On the highway. I got stopped one night by a state trooper. I'd been over to a buddy of mine's, and if you get to his house, to my house by dirt road, but it was about 10 minutes longer. You could also take this dirt road up here to the highway and about a quarter of a mile of highway, and then you could turn off and go to my house. So I've been at his house all day and all night, and it's like 11 o'clock at night. And I get up to the highway, and I look, there's no headlights or anything, and I'm just going to shower down on it and get over here to the cutoff a quarter of a mile. And I ding, 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 ding. And about the time I hit 4th gear, I realized my headlights picked up this state trooper that's sitting on the side of the road with no lights on. And he hit his lights. Now, I could have run. I could have outrun him. There was no way he could catch that Banshee. None. But I didn't. I just pulled straight over on the shoulder. And his name was Gerald Corbel. He walks up and he says, Sandy, son, you ain't supposed to have that 4-wheeler out here on the highway. I said, I know, Gerald, I know. I said, I've been over at Caveman's, and I said, I was just coming home and just, right here. And he said, that's right. You turn that right there, huh? And I mean, I was like from me to Boomer from the road that I need to turn on. I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, thank you for not running from me. I said, well, you're welcome. And he said, because you could have got away, but I knew who you were. So he said, I'd have just waited up the road from your house till you came home, and then I'd have arrested you. And he said, just get off the highway, please. I was like, yes, sir. He did me a solid. He's now sheriff of that county.
Did he tell you was going 106?
No, that was a different time.
Oh, okay.
That was a different time.
So you didn't learn your lesson.
And, that was the first time I got stopped by a trooper on my 4-wheeler was the 106. And again, when I saw him, I didn't wait for him to turn around. I didn't wait for him to hit his lights. I just pulled over to the side of the road and waited. David Martin was that trooper.
Yes, sir.
And he walks up and he's like, what in the hell do you think you're doing? And I was like, I just bought it. I had to see how fast it can go. And I had bought it like the night before. And I was like, I had to see how fast it go. He said, well, it can do 106 because that's what I clocked you at. God. And I said, I still think there was some top end left. And he laughed and he said, get off this highway.
Yank.
Yeah, get it off this highway now. Yes, sir. No ticket. Cut a big donut. No, didn't do anything. No, that's as slow as that four-wheeler. Down the side of the highway, looked like somebody's pawpaw riding through there, on this thing with these big monster rims on the back and a muffler this big, sticking out the back.
Just squatted out.
Oh man, they did. I scared myself on that. The last time I ever rode it, I scared myself. I got out on this stretch of road and pulling down on it, and it was a Saturday, and a school bus went by from our school, and I was graduated from high school by then, but. In case there were some girls or something I might have known on that bus.
Just in case.
Just in case. So I go running up there beside that bus and I take off and hit sixth gear and it hit that power band and the front wheel started coming up and I'm too far back on the seat. I can't pull myself forward.
Or to pull it up anymore.
Because just the angle I was at, I would have to let go of the handlebar almost. And I couldn't do that. And I have the gas pushed all the way. So now I can't move this hand at all. This one, I'm not having any luck. And those wheels are still coming up slowly. And all I can do is, I guess through the power of sphincter muscle, it was scoop my butt up on the seat. I still don't know to this day how I did it, but I took it home that day and parked it and never rode it again. Sold it for like $1,000 more than I paid for it.
Smeared all over the.
Oh, there would be no story to tell. Y'all remember that time when there was that big red streak on the highway? That's where Sandy landed.
Sandy last late.
That's where he was. And I got his 4-wheeler back here in the shop, but but Sandy didn't make it. I took it home and parked it, and I sold it. I guess that was the beginning of maturity for me. Man, that thing was fast. And I told my wife the other day, I've got a payment coming from somebody that owes me money, and they pay me once a year, and it's that time, and it'll be coming in the next few days, and I've already talked to them, and it's all good. And I told my wife, I said, last year when they paid me, I did not make one frivolous purchase, except I did buy a countertop sonic ice maker. I said $300 and something bucks, and I said, and it's been worth every bit. She said, I agree, it's been worth every bit. I said, but I did not make one frivolous purchase whatsoever. I said, I'm not going to be able to say that this time next year. And she's like, yeah, what are you going to buy? I said, I think I'm going to get me a side-by-side. And she's like, a new one? I said, I don't know.
Where do you want to ride that at?
Well, I got
out
places.
In the neighborhood?
Yeah, I can do that too, yeah. But I've got places.
Make sure you get power steering.
Okay.
It's got to have power steering.
Yeah, no question. Yeah, no question
and
about
a heater.
that.
And an air conditioner.
No, I'm not doing all that. Because I could just buy a new truck for that price.
Yeah, but you can't ride it out in the middle of a pasture.
Well, you can.
But you shouldn't.
Yeah. Just like you can't ride a side-by-side on the highway. I mean, you can but you shouldn't. Yeah. That's kind of like, I used to love to go to the mall we'd go, like my wife would drag me down to Pecan Land Mall or something, and I'd love it. I said, y'all go do what you're going to do. I'm going to be sitting right here. And I just people watch. And I would just make a note in my head, said, just because they sell it in your size doesn't mean you should wear it. That was.
Or I didn't know Lycra could stretch that far.
Right. Listen, I've seen some things in the mall. I'm like, we need to find out what those booty shorts are made out of and make tanks out of them. Because if it can hold all that back, there's not a missile in the world that can penetrate that.
And what they need is more full length mirrors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
In the mall.
But
some people don't care.
They don't. So recently we had a concert here downtown, and it was.
There were some don't cares there.
Let me start off by saying I was 100% impressed with how that all went down. Okay. There was no problems, no issues that night. And Greg, who produced that show, is a fabulous guy. We're going to have him on the podcast soon. I am impressed with anything he does because he does not do it halfway. He does it right all the way through. He has his detractors, and those are just idiots because Greg's a good guy. They put that show on. Well, the rapper who was coming, he announced just before he comes, hey, why don't we do an all white show? Wear your white. There's some people that shouldn't wear white.
Because it makes you look larger.
Yes.
Or when it gets stretched to its limit, it's see-through.
Yeah. And that was a lot. And so it was like, baby, did they not have one in your size? Is that what is that what happened? And I mean, there was some people you could tell their religion.
Oh yeah.
It was and body piercings, those show up when those clothes are real tight like that. And it's like, why do you have that pierced? I didn't even know you could pierce that. Okay. But there was a whole lot of I don't cares here in town that night. Now, I was not a concert goer that night.
What were you?
Well, the sheriff's department and police department were out in full force, and they really didn't have anywhere where they could cool down, and it was hot. And it was like 130.
Was this outside?
Humidity. No, it was inside, but
it was hot.
Ahead of this, there was just people everywhere, and so I came down here and opened the office and gave them a key and said, the refrigerator's right there. Get whatever you want to drink. There's water. There's Gatorades, whatever. Y'all have a place
for the officers.
Yeah, yeah. And it's just lock the door when you leave. And they did. But when I came down here to do that, and then when I got ready to leave, of course, I'm driving through town and I'm seeing all these people. And I mean, it's a lot of people, a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm seeing what some of them are wearing, and I'm thinking, baby, you can tell you don't have a daddy at home, because if you had a daddy, he would never
have let you not
walk out the house like that, And the part that kills me are the people like, I'm more than a piece of meat. Well, then, baby, quit trying to look like the meat counter over at Timberlane Meat Market, because that's all you look like right now. You left it all hanging out. You put it on display.
Big Al could sell that.
Big Al.
That sounds like a pimp.
You were going to catch so much grief, Alan Tyson, for being called Big Al. It's coming, brother. You might as well just get ready, because it's on the way. and again, that train is rarely late. So, John, thank you so much.
Yeah.
We appreciate you coming. And,
one more time you're added.
Yeah. One more time.
One more visit and you get added to the Sandy and Boomer and and John.
Cool.
We'll get you in October, your busiest time.
It's all right. I got a week off. Give me that week off.
Hey, during that week off in October,
But you got homecoming the next week.
But that's okay.
Yeah. It's, well, let me ask you this real quick. As a coach, so take off the principal hat for a minute and go back to coaching days. One of the things that always gets asked of every single coach said, Coach, I know it's homecoming week and there's a lot of distractions. How do you keep your kids from being distracted?
You don't.
Exactly. I don't care what it was. I was a baseball player. I was not a football player. So homecoming week didn't distract me. I was distracted enough by, beer and girls. But like if we had a big game coming up that Tuesday or that Friday, there was nothing else happening in my world. I don't care what it was. I know I'm going to be on the mound Friday and we're playing our most hated rival, the next town over, St. Augustine, Texas. I know we're playing St. Augustine and they're coming off of a state championship. And, they had 3 high schoolers get drafted into the Major League Baseball draft, straight out of high school. And they were one of those teams, like it wasn't, they had to rebuild. It was just next man up. Mm-hmm. And I know we're playing them. They had one loss the prior year and it was to us. We beat them 3-2. We played them twice, once at their place, once at ours. They beat us 3-2 at their place. We beat them 3-2 at ours. That's the only loss they had all year. They only had 2 games all year that were not mercy rules, and both of them were against us. That's how good that team was. They had a kid on the mound named Steve Hughes who was throwing low to mid 90s in high school, and the ball would rise as it was coming in. I mean, just stupid. You would have to swing when he got to here if you even thought you had a chance of hitting it, and just hope to God he was on and not hitting you, but you don't keep them from being distracted. The only thing that keeps them from being distracted is themselves and what they want and what they expect to accomplish that week. So I've always thought that was just such a BS question to ask a coach. And then almost every coach gives you the same BS answer. And that is, well, we talk about what our goal is. Our goal isn't to see who's homecoming queen. Our goal is, we want to be playing the day after Thanksgiving. That was Scott Reed. Scott Reed, we only had 2 goals this year, and that was to be the conference championship and play on the day after Thanksgiving. So,
yeah.
And sorry, Scott, that wasn't a very good impression, I know. But
that's the words he said.
That was words, yeah. Senior Follies, Micah's senior year. And, that's back when Senior Follies made fun of people. I mean, hard. They would roast people hard. And they roasted Scott Reed something fierce her senior year, Senior Follies. One of the kids come out holding that big check that we'd give them from Kicks 103. Hi, I'm Scott Reed, and I have all these state championships. And had all this bling on his hands and around his neck and all this stuff. And then someone got up and said, hi, I'm Sylvia Thompson, and I am the head of the El Dorado Promise, and I'm Sylvia Thompson. Did you know I'm Sylvia Thompson? And,
oh, my word.
And so years later, this is actually just like a year ago, I'm talking to Sylvia about something, and she's like, well, Sandy, blah, blah, blah. And she was being very nice and helpful. And I said, Sylvia, I am so surprised you're nice to me. And she said, why? I said, all the fun Cam made of you all those years in high school. And she said, I love Cam.
Sylvia, that when we moved to the high school, she was still Promise director, and I love that woman.
Yes,
she is.
You can't go to heaven if you don't love Sylvia Thompson.
Yeah, it is. She is a one of a kind, just sweet, nice lady who cares about people,
cares and is knowledgeable, and will work hard. It's one thing to know what to do; it's a whole other thing to do it. Yeah. And she will do it. Micah started off at the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville. She got a chancellor scholarship. And then when I went through the divorce and all that, she said she wanted to move back home. And I'm like, you don't have to move home because I can raise kids. I've been raising kids. And she's like, no, Dad, I just want to be closer to home. And so she's going to go to Louisiana Tech. Well, 2 different worlds when it comes to billing, because University of Arkansas is on the semester system and Louisiana Tech's on the quarter system. And so when all of her friends and buddies went back from Christmas break to go back to school at University of Arkansas, they went in first week of January. She's not starting school till like the end of March, And so, and then it was like they couldn't get the billing right. And I don't know what all was going on there. I just know I kept they kept threatening me to write checks if we couldn't get this billing right. And Sylvia, like a champ, she waded into that system. And I'm sure Michael was not the first person to go through that, but you could tell it didn't happen enough that they knew exactly what to do.
Oh.
And Sylvia jumped into that with both feet. And finally, between her and probably 35 people at Louisiana Tech, they got it figured out and got it all worked out. But, again, it's one thing to know what to do. It's a whole different avenue to actually do it. And Sylvia's one of those people.
Going back to the coaching thing, Sandy, I think that week of Thanksgiving that Coach Reed always loved, that week scared me more than homecoming week.
Mm-hmm.
We saw them once a day, and we didn't control the majority of their day.
That's right.
And that's some of these schools are talking about the 4-day week, which never. I hope I hope El Dorado never goes to the 4-day week.
You want your boys on Fridays, brother.
I want to control everything I can about their day. I want to control what they eat. If they're sitting still, you can't.
Right.
And that's the thing. As a coach, like I remember coaching baseball. I mean, when the seniors, their last day at school,
their last day is May 1st, and
we're
you
still in a state tournament.
Yes,
and it's like you get up and you send a text. Where are you? Are you? Make sure that everybody's up. They eat lunch.
Yep.
We got practice. I'll be at the field at 2:00. Y'all go ahead and meet me then.
Yes.
Well, practice didn't start till 3:40, Coach.
Doesn't matter.
I'll be there at 2:00.
I'll see you at 2:00.
I need to lay eyes on you.
Yeah, and that's and coaches catch a lot of crap. Kind of like dads do in sitcoms. Coaches are bumbling idiots, and they're just not that smart and whatever else. I'm going to tell you something. I've met a lot of great teachers, and all over the years. But a good coach, a great coach, loves his kids.
Absolutely.
And takes no joy in anything less than their success. Yeah. And he could win Coach of the Year and state championships and all that, but if he doesn't look out there at that team and see that they improved and they grew as men, he doesn't care.
No.
Because that's what a great coach does. And Scott Reed and I played golf together every Sunday, except for during football season, of course. And there was a time, there was a rumor being floated around that Arkansas State University was coming after Scott. They were going to give Taylor a scholarship, and they wanted to take Scott in, kind of a twofer. And I just finally said, Scott, look, you just got to tell me if you're leaving. He said, man, I'm not going anywhere. And he told me a story, and it was heartbreaking to me. He said, Sandy, first of all, I've coached at the college level. And he said, that's not what I want to do. And he said, so that leaves high school. If I'm a coach at high school, where else could I be? He said, unless I returned home. And he said, and that would have to be a special set of circumstances. He said, where else would I want to go? Because if I need to raise $1 million, I can make 3 phone calls. Now, they won't give me $1 million, but they'll start making phone calls. And before the end of the day, I'll have $1 million. And Judge Carol Crafton Anthony was the biggest, one behind that. And because I said before, I'd get a call from her and she'd say, Sandy? I'd say, yeah, Judge Anthony. And she'd say, oh, no, Carol's fine. Carol's fine. Oh, Carol, okay. And she'd say, Coach Reed needs some new helmets. And I went ahead and put you down for $500. Is that okay? Yes, ma'am. Absolutely, it is. 100%. It is okay. But he said, Sandy, when I was at Forest City, he said, I didn't understand how I would get a kid at the end of the school year, an offensive lineman who was 270. Mm-hmm. And I would get him back in August and he's 220. How'd that happen? He said, then I found out they're not eating. They don't eat. They go a whole summer without eating. Mm-hmm. And he said, so I said, by gosh, we're going to have a summer food program for my football players. He said, we raised $4. Outside of what the coaches and I did and our wives did, we raised $4. And he said, why would I want to be anywhere else when I can be here and give my kids the very best? And that was the one thing I would say about Scott Reed. There was never a time where you questioned, did he have those kids' best interest at heart? Never. I never questioned him.
We kind of got there earlier, and Brett Shockley will be very similar to that.
And everyone who, and I've met him briefly once, but everyone who knows him, and these are people I respect their opinion, Rex Nelson being among those. And when Rex tells me, Sandy, I'm just telling you, the way you felt about Scott Reed, you will feel about Absolutely. Brett Shockley. He said, and here's, so my daughter's boyfriend is, he plays, and first rattle out of the box is he's like, I love this guy. What's in the past is in the past. I just never heard that about the previous coach. But from the day Coach Shockley walked in the door, that's all I've heard from the football players I know is I love this guy. Yeah. And now they're telling me there's no doubt he loves us. He wants the absolute best for us.
Yeah.
And he says that if we can get what's best for us and regurgitate, if we can put back out the best, then championships and all that stuff, that'll come.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he walks into my office this morning. He said, hey, I want to do a book study with the football team. I've never been asked that. Never. He said, about leadership and responsibility. He said, me and the coaches and the kids, we're going to do a book study. Got any extra money? And I was like, well,
we can find it.
Yeah, it's we're gonna get it, but I got to get some econ books and some other stuff that the state's worried about. But if you want to do a book study with the football team,
great.
We're gonna find a way to do that one.
Yes.
He's a dream. Scott was a dreamer. Shockley's a dreamer.
Yeah.
And absolutely. I mean, he came in that first week of summer. He was there. They come in, eat in the cafeteria, and he walked in. He looked at me, and he looked at the food. He looked at the kids. He said, "That's not enough." Next thing I know, they've gone and bought a griddle, and the coaches are up there cooking a second breakfast for these kids before practice. So you got coaches out there cooking breakfast at a griddle. Other ones are running around getting practice, and then they go out and practice. And
he's like, "That's not enough calories. I know what I'm gonna burn off of them today."
And he does. But the expectations that our kids, that even when he started, you'd hear him talking about in the hallways, just, Coach Shockley's going to know, he's going to find out about that. Mm-hmm. Coach Shockley, he's got a expectation. There's a certain set of repercussions if one person does it. If two people out of the same group do it, then that whole position has repercussions. If three people out of that side, the whole side of the ball has repercussions, and it's about accountability and
policing your brother.
They did it one or two times in the spring early, and you started you'd even hear it in the hallway. Hey, cut that out, and it's like, I appreciate you, thank you guys.
Yeah,
and they were making my job easier. The kids were.
That's right,
and that spoke volumes to me as the principal hiring a guy like that. I've said it. And I'll say it again. Our head coaches in El Dorado, wins and losses are important.
Yes, of course,
but they care about kids. Bobby Mullins and Jeff Burson and Coach Shockley now, those three guys, phenomenal men, and they are trying to build boys into be phenomenal men. And I mean, I talked to Coach Mullins last night, not at the end of the year last year, and he was beating himself up about the record. I said, but what did you accomplish? Like, we had this many kids that we didn't think would even be able to make it to the end of the day, and you've had them finish the season. Like that says volumes to me. I said it last time I was with y'all.
Yeah,
we're bigger than math, science, English, social studies. We're going to grow some kids.
Yes,
that's good. Yep,
that's what's important. That's what our community needs.
Totally agree. And when your coaches have those kind of expectations, the last thing you want to do is disappoint them.
Yeah.
And so, I went to jail the first time when I was 14 years old. I was a freshman in high school. And, of course, the one thing I didn't want was for them to call my dad, and they did anyway. and he come and got me, and I wasn't sure it was safe to go home with him. But actually, the second biggest concern on my mind was I did not want to disappoint my baseball coach. And of course, it was no time at all. And he found out and called me into his office and not only expressed to me how disappointed he was, but that, it's one thing when they're like, Sanford, I thought you could do better. But when he was like, I thought you were going to be one of my leaders. Obviously I was wrong.
Ooh,
golly, man.
Yeah.
I'm a freshman, and he was like, he said, I've been watching your work ethic and your workouts. And he said, I keep thinking, man, if this kid has anything for a glove, he could play varsity ball this year. But obviously you can't make good decisions. Oh my gosh.
And that's that impact that coach has that classroom teachers don't have sometimes.
That's right.
And
well, I think sometimes, at least for me, that classroom teacher may have 130 students in a day.
Yeah.
That coach has 12 of us. That's the only 12 he has. So he knows you a little more intimately. And I think that was the thing, at least again, like I said, for me. Now, again, growing up, it was your parents, your pastor, and then my baseball coach. That's how I really looked at them.
Well, I mean, I'm 36 years old, and I still, if Chris Long were to call me right now, hey coach, what do you need?
Yep.
If Joe Black was still alive, it'd be the exact same thing for Joe Black.
Joe Black. I have the best Joe Black story I'm going to tell you, but not while we're recording. You may have even been there when it's happened, but it was something. But anyway, yeah. I remember one time ESPN wanted Scott Reed to come to Dallas and wanted him to play a 5A school out of Texas. He's like, no. He said, y'all don't understand. Just because we're 6A, we're equivalent with about a 3A in Texas.
Yeah.
And he said, now I'll play any 3A school, but I'm not playing a 5A school. Because see, playing Judson Carter.
Yeah,
they got, the backups, the third string linebacker is 6'8", 225.
Right.
And bench pressing the front ends in Honda cars, for his workout. I mean, no. Or how about Trinity Euless?
Yeah.
And they run out there and do that haka on the field.
Yeah,
ahead
all them Samoans out there.
And no, you don't want to know.
Their daddies all work at the airport.
At the airport, that's right. They do. The first time, it was Trinity Euless was playing Dallas Judson Carter in the state championship. And there's some distinctions on Dallas Judson Carter and Trinity Euless. Like we said, Trinity Euless it's almost 100% Samoan. I think they have one white kid as quarterback. But other than that, the rest of the team, that whole offensive and defensive line, 100% Samoan, right? And Judson Carter is predominantly African American, to the tune of like 96%. Well, they're playing each other in the state championship game in Texas Stadium in Dallas, and Trinity Euless comes out and does that haka before the game. And if you don't know what the haka is, it's you see the Samoans like, they're doing that dance and they're stomping and it's scary. And you look over on that sideline and Judson Carter kids are like, and it was 21-0 in like the first 2 minutes of the first quarter with Trinity Euless up. Because they won that game before the kickoff.
Scared the snot out.
Scared the daylights out of them.
The pregame is a bit like this year at Sylvan Hills. Sylvan Hills has a heck of a pregame show that they put on with the fireworks and the lights and the walkout and I mean,
so it's a production.
That was Shiloh, wasn't it? That was Shiloh.
Yeah, sorry, Shiloh.
Because I think we played Sylvan here.
Yeah, Shiloh. We're sitting there at Shiloh and
that's the University of Shiloh.
But I'm like grown man, the principal of this high school, and I got my phone out recorded like this is insane. And it's like, but that's a high school, and it's
and they also have more money than most colleges,
right? And they wanted the original game plan that night had us coming on the field about 5 minutes before that started,
and have y'all standing there just watching it,
and then they
no thank you.
And Coach Hill held them at the gate. They could still see it, but it wasn't. We're not standing on the sideline just watching it. But I was like the cheerleaders standing behind me, like, Coach Jameson, put your phone up. And they were like, Mr. Jameson, put your phone up. And I was like, no, this is pretty cool.
Yeah. This is giving me ideas, but I mean, it's just, it was good so when Scott Reed came in, you saw a different expectation, a different level of discipline. And then again, and I say this, any success that El Dorado has had on the field, you've got to give a greater portion of that praise to Jimmy Johnson. And here's why I say that. Jimmy's been through those trenches, okay? He's been with those other coaches who just weren't really cut out to be the head coach. He's been through those administrations. He's taken the butt chewings from parents. And again, coaches, he was way more qualified to be the head coach than they were. Yeah. And I that's why Jimmy Johnson will always hold a special place in my heart, because he's a wildcat through and through. He's going to bleed purple every single time. And
Chris Borofsky.
Chris Borofsky's another one. And and even Scott Perry. These are guys, they're not looking for the next gig.
No.
They're not looking to, where can I go to do this for me?
They're in it because they love Wildcat football and the kids.
That's right.
Yeah. And
let me tell you, if you're Scott Perry and you're over here doing 7th grade football, you really got to love football, because that's hard. That's hard to watch. It's hard to referee.
Oh, it is.
Because you could throw 7 flags every play.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
And when you walk up to a kid and say, hey, buddy, listen, you can't grab him by the helmet. Okay. I get it. I understand. Well, I wasn't holding. No, you were just committing a greater foul by holding by the helmet, so, okay. Our dear Lord, you could almost call a false start
every play,
especially the first game of the season, because some kids, that's the first time they've ever been in front of a crowd and under the lights. And, they just, I know
what you're.
Yeah. It's
I know what you're talking about.
And it's, oh my gosh.
You were saying that Jimmy and Chris and Scott.
And if I'm missing a coach, I apologize.
Those guys that have been in this district, they're in pretty much their entire careers.
Yeah.
And they are from here. They've put in a lot. They've skimped on family time. And they did it for everybody else's kids.
That's right.
And that speaks volumes for me. And getting to work with all those guys, they grew me as a young coach.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun. And you're talking about Jimmy. I mean El Dorado's defensive line is always good.
Yes.
Jimmy's like the defensive line whisperer.
Yes.
And it's like, but it's, those kind of guys, and I'm not knocking any of the new coaches that are coming into it, but those guys aren't in it for the fame and fortune. And a lot of these young coaches that we're getting, they want to come in as a coordinator, or they want to come in as look, man,
you got to pay your dues, buddy.
Yeah. And like
yeah, I know. There,
he edited himself.
He did, and see, he has that ability.
Yeah.
This is why he runs things, and you and I don't, because he has that ability. It's like I say all the time. I have the right to remain silent. What I lack is the ability. To do so. John, again, thank you so much.
Absolutely,
we appreciate you coming on. Thank you to our sponsors, to our friends, to our again, all 6 of our viewers or whatever it is. No, thank you so much. We do appreciate you. Hey, this is Off the Back Porch. Have a great weekend. God bless.
With a history of being the voices you trust, this is Off the Back Porch.